Good afternoon, all you wonderful Paladins people and players. Of course, happy Friday. Here we are, PPL day. We have a short of broadcast today. Of course, we only have one game today, NIP versus Envy. Of course, I'm not here alone. It's Kresnik this time.
Yeah, and I'm always excited to see NIP Envy. I think it's been a matchup that Envy, even when NIP were looking super dominant, Envy were always kind of able to contest, and NIP, off the back of a win yesterday, might be able to bring a little bit more of a fight than we're used to seeing from them this phase.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, on top of that, I mean, NIP, this is an entirely new meta that's been going on right now. I talked about it a little bit yesterday when I asked the question, at least to NIP when they end up taking it over Renegades, about the Torval. Like, we've seen the Furia a lot. They picked it during a lot of their matches yesterday. And I'm excited to see how they're going to be able to try to fight back against this Envy and try to adapt. But, of course, we're going to end up going to the standings to see where everybody, of course, is at this point in the split. Nas Sincere, of course, is still number one. NIP, 16-7. Third is VP. Fourth is Team Envy. Fifth, SSG. So on and so forth. Kanga, PK, and the Renegades.
And SSG, 12-12 now, kind of evening things out after previous weeks. But we're looking at NIP Envy here today. And NIP, a team that's been on a bit of a decline. Envy, a team that, with a win today, could put themselves back up in third place, kind of reestablishing dominance, I guess, not in that way, but reestablishing dominance over Virtus Pro, you know, able to, even though VP are probably the better team currently, they've been away for a little bit, some travel stuff, going to play in later weeks, but at least go ahead of them in the standings again.
Right, I mean, on top of that, everyone now currently has, I'm not going to say that they have more practice than the other teams, or at least VP in this sense. They aren't, of course, here. They haven't been playing at least these past 2 weeks because, like you said, they've been traveling, so on and so forth. And, of course, that gives time for people like Envy, at least Team Envy in this case, to be able to rack up and get themselves ready, of course, for not only today's match, but to continue the split, like you just said.
Yeah, I mean, Envy in their team house always able to practice a lot. I know I actually had to stay at their house for a couple weeks before, and they're practicing a lot. I will tell you that for sure. I mean, that upstairs room. There was a time where actually it was the only AC they had in their house, so of course they're always playing in the practice room, trying to get some practice in. And Mr. Hayes, one of the members of Envy, their support, a stalwart player, I would say. He's always been a very strong contender, I think, for Envy. Definitely in that discussion for one of the strongest supports in the game in general. Always able to perform at the level that Envy needed, not necessarily going for those crazy explosive plays, but supporting the team, and an Envy, a team that kind of thrives off this strong team play. I think it's exactly what they need.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Mr. Hayes, we see it through him, we see it through Vex, we see it through Cuss, of course. Whenever you play this Genos, you have some pretty quality snipes. Those three players always come to my mind. Mittal as well, and this beautiful setup by there from Ash into the Assert Dominus, of course. And he's a very, very good healer. I mean, I really think you could say that about a lot of the healers that are already in the league. Everyone does so well, and they definitely know how to push their advantage. Mr. Hayes is definitely one of them.
When there's only 8 supports that are going to be contesting at this level, you can guarantee they are the best. And he definitely is one of them. And Envy as a whole, I think his play has contributed to their style. I mean, they're not really this kind of super hyper-aggressive, push you to the wall, go for the throat kind of play style. And I feel like that's kind of contrasted by the team on the other side. NIP, we know how aggressive they like to be. I think yesterday was a good look for them in terms of being flexible, but in terms of playstyle, Bird, I wasn't expecting too much of him going into this league, but as we've seen the team evolve and as we've seen them play, I feel like I've seen a decent amount of highlights from Bird on support.
Yeah, I mean, of course, after yesterday as well, I mean, you put him on the Furia, you talk about aggression. NIP showed so much of that yesterday, and a lot of it was on the back of Bird, just not only from his character pick, but just the fact that he was ready to use Inflame. He was ready to pop it whenever he needed to. He was positioned extremely well, and he was actually able to pretty much just burst people out of nowhere, like not only just where you would expect from the damages, but with the rest of the team as well.
Yeah, being able to pull out that Fury, I mean, you have to have good aiming of the beams, good aim of hit scan, which isn't something you typically have to see from a support, but going to be heading into the map bans. We're going to see where we are not going to be playing today. That's going to be Jaguar Falls banned by Envy. That's interesting. Let me actually write this down. So Jaguar Falls banned by Envy, Splitstone and Ascension banned by NIP as expected. And after the performance yesterday on Shattered, I think I would ban Shattered also.
Same.
If I was Envy, for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely not let them be able to pick that map. And speaking of maps, map 1, Fish Market. The good old tried and true for Team Envy.
I don't even know why I turned around. I was like, oh, is Envy first pick? Why did I even look? It's Fish Market. Of course Envy's first pick. This is one of their favorite maps historically. Again, we say this every time, and it won them the World Championships, being able to take that W on that map when it mattered most against Team Na'Vi. And Bans very quick, but it's the 4 that we expect, so that makes sense. Willow, Strix, Makoa, Atlas, all off the table. 2 of the strongest DPSs, 2 of the strongest tanks, and immediately Envy grabbed the Con, which shows to me that they're not looking to get too aggressive, or they just really don't want to play against Diggy's Con on this map.
Right, exactly. I mean, Con, Barrick already being hovered for NIP, but of course, more than likely they're going to end up taking it. We saw it a lot yesterday. Can't expect they want to change up much today. Barrick, in this case, once again, still being hovered. Now, okay, I talked about it a little bit yesterday, and I don't know if it was a mainstay, but do you feel like they're really going to just try and stick to Furia? Is that their makeup damage amp? Now that Torvald's not here, you think for NIP specifically, so they prioritize Torvald so much, also Cassie, second pick to be able to counter that con. But of course, once again, do you think that's why that they end up picking Furia so much? Do we see that? Do we expect to see that today?
It also just supplements their aggression. I mean, Furia is definitely the aggressive healer, so she's who you want to end up with when you do want to have this like very hyper-aggressive composition. So far, NIP's still flexible in what they could end up with. Barrick, Cassie. Barrick, I would say, is the best point tank on this map because of his ability to poke from the low ground to the high ground, hit that damage, get good, respectable damage on the people that are trying to spam the point. He's the only one who can really fight back while contesting. You know, and Inara, she can hit them too, but the fall off is so much more severe on the Stone Staff that she's not able to really do the same amount of damage that Barrick will. And Envy, if they end up with Maeve Ruckus, this is a pretty solid start to their draft. Ruckus very solid on Fish Market if they choose to go it, but looks like they might want to take the IO away from NIP instead.
Kill me.
Yeah, they're definitely hovering this IO pick considering it. And of course, I like that because we've seen Kanga bring it out on Fish Market. We've seen SSG bring out the IO before as well. I don't know if it's specifically on Fish Market, but we see IO a lot on Fish Market is the point it is that I'm trying to make right now. And I do like the support pick. It's always nice to see a new face, in this case, taking precedence on anybody's team, but Maeve IO going to be the the 4th and 5th pick for Team Envy right here.
Is Triple Tank going to come out from NIP here? It's open. They could go Ash Ruckus here and have a very solid Triple Tank core, and I feel like that will punish the IO trying to cap the point depending on how long Envy can stall out the fight. Fish Market, pretty similar to Shattered Desert in a lot of ways, so if they chose to do that, it could be pretty lethal from NIP. Tenor nodding, he hears me. Clearly that's going to be the next thing that gets pulled up, but I am completely wrong.
Yeah.
Buck and Furia. Buck, a good pair with Isle could be why they're taking it away, but also I guess they just don't like Eevee on these flatter maps. They want to have the tankier flank that can kind of stall out random, win that side of the fight, so they can rely a little bit more by putting their resources into Tenor and maybe stalling out Rock Monkey.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they are hovering that Ruckus very last right here. I mean, it's interesting. Of course, they're probably going to put Rubu on that Ruckus. They're considering who it is. They want to go second to last at this point. And Buck, don't see him often, but of course, I remember we had talked about it before. Maybe it was off camera or on camera. Regardless, Buck is, just to explain a little bit, they go for the Leon, of course. And Buck is picked as an anti-flank. Not necessarily, that's not his precedence as a flank. He's not supposed to be super aggressive, especially with Bulk up. Why is that?
There is
what about Envy's team makes NIP want to draft Buck right now?
Just to slow down random noob. I think also, I mean, Buck can be drafted either as an anti-flank or as a super aggressive dive character.
Right.
I don't think that's where we're going to see him today. It's definitely better when you pair that style with an IO, so you can get that Goddess's Blessing damage boost on him. But Buck, I think, is just a character they maybe think is a little bit more reliable than their Eevee. They had a decent performance on Eevee yesterday, but want to maybe something a little more consistent for NIP on their side. But the Buck will mostly just slow down the Maeve and the Ruckus on that side of the map, not go down immediately like an Eevee would if she got called out with Ice Block. You know, Buck will be able to bulk up, jump away. That damage reduction, that extra healing is a big part of him not just getting caught out in these pushes.
Let's fight.
That makes a lot of sense. Of course, Ash being the last pick here, and really just the survivability on NIP's team is very, very scary. I mean, Envy opting to go with the double off tank, but what that tells me is that that's just going to apply pressure on those sides. They may not try and fight for point as often. They might try and deal with whoever it is that might try and dive them or just try and watch out for that high ground. But whose team do you like better? I sort of like Envy's only because of the fact that IO's on it. That's
yeah, I was going to say, I like the double off tank combined with IO, able to pocket Rubu with that Goddess Blessing as he goes in, making it really hard to have an answer, I think, to the aggression that Envy's going to bring.
Of course. I mean, game one already here. Envy versus NIP. This is going to be a good one. Of course, we're going to throw it down to the casters to take us into the first game.
Thank you very much, Fawn and Kresnik. This is a top 4 matchup standings-wise. Maybe looks a little different, though, Gore, if you kind of look at the what have you done for me lately standings.
Yeah.
NIP, we were talking to Kresnik. I think NIP have only won 3 games so far in the second split are trying to get some momentum. Envy a little bit more consistent, but going to be a great matchup nonetheless.
Consistency is key. Yesterday, NIP get there nice 4-2 over the Renegades, but today it's going to be a different story. They're not going to have, I want to say, as many opportunities. A lot of the games they won, the 4 that they won yesterday, were very concise victories over the Renegades. But losing to, in general, on specific maps that come through, that admittedly are strong for Renegades, is still going to be something you have to kind of take with a grain of salt. Now you're going to Envy's, well, one of the arguably best maps that they've been able to kind of bring out. Kanga has now taken it to them here, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. They love Fish Market.
A new look, though. Haven't really seen Buck on this map. Io certainly starting to become mainstay, maybe an overstatement, but in the support conversation whenever Fish Market is picked up. Buck, my first data point as far as Buck on this map. Got a little of him yesterday to some mixed success. Great in the early game, fell off a little bit once the cauterizes kicked in. So that's something to keep your eyes on. Random Noob, already first blood, looking for second. Throwing some daggers into Alex, dashes himself out. That first kill is all she wrote up to this point.
Yeah, a lot of this and a lot of the draft, everything comes down to playing the map. Buck can play the map pretty well, but again, later game, he starts to struggle just as a Buck thing. That's something that is very, very much in line with him as a champion. And Io enables things to just play out differently. I mean, look at this. No one has to put themselves in harm's way. Whereas Bonker, the reason he gets shredded through with his health bar is because he has to spend all that time down there. Though right here, the only excuse he's going to have is that there's a lot of aggression on the side from Envy.
This is a good flank around the left. Diggy Dog trying to answer back with some aggression of his own and finds the kill onto Toki, highlighting the Khan this time around. Very used to seeing him in the point tank exclusive category. Every once in a while they'll flex if they're in a triple DPS. This time around, see him on the Khan. Catches Diggy Dog's hands to start this one off. 60% though for NIP. So they kind of draw the line in the sand. Already sort of the roundabout pokiness that we sometimes see on Fish Market. NB now trying to fight back into it. First round of ultimates starting to come online here as well. That's where things could kind of start to spiral.
Oh, Puck Wild going to get popped almost immediately. And honestly, you can expect him to maybe have something to say about this ruckus as time goes on. It's 60-60 overall on the point. 57. Envy stepped off before they could get that final tick up to the 60 mark. And ults have come and gone for some of these members coming through. Be Gone was thrown out there. But so far, nothing big. NIP take control of the point.
Yeah, 96% for them. Tolki dashes his way in. Bird finds the kill, though. And you're hoping that a ruckus is in range to get a touch. Overtime starts. Bird with the only kill of the last few seconds. Random Noob, though, finding a big one on to Bittner. Forces back NIP. Rock Monkey slides on through. Dome Shield drops down. Leon gets the kill before Bonker cleans that one up. Shoulder bash right on through to the other side. Brubu so low right now. The kills starting to fall for NIP. And that's all she wrote. Tolki not in range. Third dominance a little bit after the fact from Diggy Dog. If nothing else, forces NB back. Point 1 over to NIP.
And if nothing else, it's going to be able to give them at least a little bit of a start on this push, which is, I would argue, like one of the hardest things to get going on Fish Market. Actually, this kind of first half of the push is incredibly difficult and easy at the same time. It's difficult if they are able to get aggressive. One kill here for Envy, and normally they're not only going to be able to kind of overwhelm you, but they're going to make it real difficult to get back to the payload itself, let alone kind of find that push. Once they come around this last corner, it becomes a literal uphill battle into a literal downhill battle for them. But with Bonker gone, that should kind of level things out.
Tolki grabs the overpower. Look at the damage charts. Tolki is second to last in this game, even behind his own Io. I mean, he is sandwiched between the two supports, so something to keep your eyes on. Everyone else is in the low to mid 20s. And then there's Tolki down at the bottom. Sorry?
He hasn't even broken 10K.
Yeah, he
not
is,
even halfway there.
The impact hasn't quite been there. He's moving his way up. Might cross it here in a moment. But another Inflame might prevent him from doing so. He does cross that 5-digit threshold. In goes Buck. Off to the side. Rubu as well finds a kill onto Bird. That's going to stall out this push from NIP. And, for Envy, the kind of lack of con presence in that mid, they were able to fight it somewhat close.
It's not every day you get to see a Buck just jump straight off the map. I mean, I guess one thing when you see a couple people, they will walk towards the edge of the map, kind of meandering their way over there and then step off. But to just full commit, like, all right, we're going in, baby, and then full jump cooldown comes up. Of course, he's going to have it back by any time he's going to use. It's just fun to be able to watch.
He's just staggering himself out more effectively, right?
Yeah, he's making sure that he respawns with the team, that they come out coming clean for them, 5-man strong. And I mean, Buckwild's up. Assert Dominance just came up. Soon enough, you can have a Dome Shield. They are getting a lot of the ults back now as we come through. Almost a 6-minute round. And they're looking for overtime. The payload's starting to inch its way forward again.
10 seconds left. Diggy Dog down, very low. Shoulder bash damage reduction gets him out safely. 5 seconds left now. Overtime in range. Looking for some healing on the front lines are NIP. Rock Monkey trying to put an end to that. Failsafe up for Bonker. Keeps him alive. Forced back. Envy looking for one last fight to seal up their first point. Buckwild starts it off. Good daggers from Random Noob into the back of Bittner. Find that kill. But Alex ripping through the Envy lineup here. Buckwild finds its value. Dome Shield goes down as well, and now Envy are forced all the way back.
Now, the best thing about this is going to be coming down to Alex's position. Perfect itemization. I think target focus as well. But with Bittner going down, he's going to have to traverse back. It's going to take a little bit of time, but no one's stopping him just yet. Tolkien forced to jump down with Rubu.
Yeah, might have to be gone. Does catch Diggy Dog. Doesn't get the kill, though. Important thing to look at. He's going to be able to rejoin this fight. Bonker, though, failsafe one last time. That's enough damage to kill off the frontliner. Alex again, though, pulling things even back to back. Bittner, big double kill here. Enlightenment finds a target, but Alex still alive. Big kills from the Buck, a 7 streak as NIP pushes it in.
That was one, pixel stun essentially away from Rock Monkey eliminating everybody that's in front of him and Rock Monkey dying. We got the Rock Monkey dying tree, but he was almost able to turn that around for his team, and that, I think, is huge for NIP to be able to find a 2-0. I mean, just going up on this map is always massive, but Alex, I mean, that clip itself showcases one thing about Buck that you can never forget, and that is that headshots really hurt.
And then, 10 seconds after that clip, he does it again, finds another double kill. Steamrolls his team forward, 7-2-4 for the Buck. Remember, though, this is what we saw on Timber Mill with the Buck, where, early game he shredded, and then eventually, they were able to delay the game just long enough to get those cauterizes online, but Envy, they need to fight back here.
There are 3 items this game that are going to make a huge difference. Cauterize for Envy, I think, is going to be the biggest one to help against Alex and stop that from happening again. The next one is going to end up being Wrecker, as well as Bulldozer on NIP to deal with IO and to deal with these shields. Although they're not having much trouble with Tolkien so far.
Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate. Commander's grabbed. I think he was trying to do it once Diggy Dog had already landed down, but actually reset the assert dominance. So Commander's grab cooldown was then down. So no, disengage from Tolkien from that point on. Rest of the kills, about as you'd expect as NIP continue to clean up this fight. 60% for the red team. As Random Noob doing his best to move inward, but the line of defense is set here from NIP. Envy forced back into their base. Tolkien uses the battle shout,
they got it,
but not in range. Nobody in the area to contest, and NIP off to a fast start here on Friday.
Oh, and Alex even being able to get out of that alive, stays nice and healthy. A little bit of healing from Fury, a little bit of healing from himself. This is, depending on how the rest of this goes, we've seen a lot of teams up 3-0 on Fish Market, and this is actually the definitive push. If you can push this in, it's good for you. You get the win, you take the map. If you don't, I think we've seen more teams lose from a 3-1 lead on this map than we've seen win from a 3-1 lead on this map. Although right now, with 2 clean kills, this payload's going to keep going. No one on Envy is looking at it right now. They're trying to get the kills, trying to get the damage, but they're not finding any of it.
Buck is so tanky. I mean, every once in a while you really get a good look at it, and he uses his heal there as he catches an enlightenment to the face. It does absolutely nothing to Alex.
It's the perfect amount. So it's actually in his loadout plus his heal plus his talent. Like, it's everything kind of lining up for them. And it comes down to the fact that he is incredibly easy to kill. 2,600 health, though, is pretty tanky at base. Then he heals up, and he gets damage reduction when he pops that heal, and that is what makes it so hard. You have to burn through 2,600 and then about 3,500 extra health afterward.
Incredibly hard to kill. Envy doing more of the killing. Triple kill for Rock Monkey, the perfect time to put his mark on this game. Couldn't have come a moment sooner. Payload very, very close for NIP. They invested a lot into that defense. Here's your Buck loadout.
It's going to be that deep breath. And actually only running it at 4. It used to be a 5-level guard for a lot of teams. You'd see Rapid Sustain and Deep Breath 5. Just increased healing coming down when you're too low. Or you get 24%, I think at max maybe 30% damage reduction when you are able to hit it. But he's actually gone in for Reconstruction a little bit more, which is just going to give his recovery just as strong. Healing more often for more while being able to get damage reduction on top of it. Essential Buck loadout. And then Street Sweeper's maybe the only one that's kind of out there. Used to be Leg Day would fill that, but that's always depending on the map, if you want jump speed or if you want to reload a little faster.
He's reloading plenty right now. This one's absolutely going to go in if they can just stagger out these last couple of kills. Might not even need it. NIP in 4-0 fashion. They go to Envy's map and they come out winners.
And much like Diggy Dog was planting the flag of assert dominance throughout that game, I think we can plant the flag that this is not the map for Envy anymore. It just, I mean, that's 2 now that have kind of stood out against teams that admittedly have been pretty solid on Fish Market in the past, but if that was your go-to map to win, everyone else is practicing it, they know what to expect from you on there.
Yeah.
It feels like it's starting to maybe slip through their hands, something maybe they should change up. At the same time, it gets that out of the way so they can focus on the rest of the set.
NIP carrying some of that momentum from Thursday over into our first map of our only set here on Friday. They get win number 1. Find out if they get win number 2 right after this break.
iNap, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back, guys. NIP ended up winning the map Fish Market over Team Envy. Team Envy, in this case, actually was the one that ended up picking Fish Market, but they weren't the ones that ended up winning it, which is kind of unfortunate for them because that was their map pick. We'll be going into NIP's map pick next.
Yeah, but NIP, they came up with a pretty solid draft on there, I think. The Buck was a big force, I think, for NIP, very hard to pin down, and Envy kind of wanted those fights to end quickly, and Alex just didn't let it happen. Got to appreciate the consistency of NIP, though.
Right.
The Alex in both tanks within 300 damage of each other. All of them hitting about 57k, but I think it was a 4-0, but that might have been the longest 4-0
That's true.
I've ever seen. I mean, I felt like that was a really grindy back and forth, no one really able to get cap time, and that's surprising to me considering Envy was the team that had IO, and they weren't really getting cap with Luna at all.
I mean, they were holding really, really well. They were playing a very strong defensive game, but at the same time, it's just that NIP, I mean, you have the Furia, you've got the Buck, which is what we were talking about a little bit, and I guess we can expand into that because we were talking about it off camera, is that the Buck, we were talking about how he gets played a little bit as anti-flank, but at the same time, Alex was playing him pretty versatile this go-around. He wasn't just sticking to watching out for the Maeve, watching out for the Ruckus, because he can't watch out for both of them. That'd be a little bit too much for him.
The lack of burst damage on the team really outside of the Maeve, excuse me. Not really a ton of burst damage. Leon can do it, but Alex was just playing behind his team's shields, moving up on the side of using the barricade, of using the dome shield we saw in separate situations, and he was just so hard for Envy to be able to finish off because they just couldn't burst through that bulk up. The combination of the deep breath damage reduction, of the rapid sustain rejuvenate, was just a wall that Envy didn't have the damage to really go through.
And you saw it literally in in play when Rock Monkey had went up to high ground and he used Enlightenment on Buck.
Yeah,
and
he just
right.
nothing they could do.
Yeah, literally nothing it was that they could do. I mean, Leon's like, Neo. He's like, no, I think I'm good, actually. I think I'll stay how I am
Who's
right
Neo?
now. Yeah. You should tell me who he is next time, whenever it is you'd actually say Neo. In this case, though, map 2, we'll see where we're going for game 2. Bright Marsh. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, NIP want to go to the standard maps, I think. Makes a lot of sense for them to want to go here after that performance yesterday, I think, with Tenor on that pip against Renegades. Really good show by them. And with Willow banned, if they want a similar backline blaster, Pip's going to have to be where they land again.
Yeah, Willow, of course, the first ban, just like you were saying. Envy, in this case, are considering who they might go for this time. We'll probably see the frontliners ban either Makoa, Atlas, one of the two in this case. And really, Brian Martin. Now, here's the thing. Do you try and ban Furia this go-around?
I don't think so.
Do you think it really matters, despite the damage, despite Inflame being like a very, very good ult, and especially when we're seeing in the hands of NIP? Do you get rid of it?
Here's the thing. You ban Furia, you're giving them either one of the power tanks or you're giving
right.
Tenor Strix.
True.
What is the lesser of two evils? I would say the Inflame, which is only up every once in a while, is definitely something I'd rather play into than Tenor on Strix.
Right.
And Tenor on Strix was something that NIP were running even before teams kind of figured out how powerful he was. I mean, I distinctly remember this pocket strat that NIP had where they were rolling out Tenor being pocketed by a Torvald on Strix, on Frozen Guard, something that no other team was doing, so clearly NIP should be comfortable on that in this meta. Give them that and see how they go, but NIP going to start by picking Barrack.
Okay.
Clearly, I mean, 58% win rate on a point tank when he has almost 100% pick ban rate.
Right.
That's massive, I think. That should show the impact that Barrack has on these games.
Khan is going to be on Envy's side this go around. And IP first locked Barrack last time, and then this is sort of a flip. If you just flipped the Barrack and the Khan, you'd literally have what we started off with last go around. But you've got Khan, you've got Cassie to be able to pick into that Barrack. Also, big game. It's going to be a very huge role there. Also, the fact that she can just shatter shield, that's going to be pretty huge too, of course, on Bright Marsh. And really, we're just going to see who NIP are going to go for these next few picks here. Could you imagine seeing them play, but like Pip? Would they put Tenor on the Pip this go around?
I mean, after how they played yesterday, then I absolutely would assume so.
Right.
They're not going to take it this early, I don't think.
That's not what
unless they really know for sure that they want it. Ash and Fury are going to be the follow-ups. Pretty much a copy so far of what they ran against Renegades yesterday, so good start for them for sure. Ash very aggressive. Furia with Inflame can be very aggressive, and Envy respond with Random Noob getting his EV, and Damba going for Haze. So I think they expect to end up with an Inara, so you pick the Damba so you can have that kind of very, I guess, the combo that you'd come to expect. Inara, Damba, a very, very familiar, I think, combination of characters. Speed Spirits, so effective at helping your Inara get in, get out. And assuming Envy end up with double tank with Inara, which they should, that I think would be a good force for them to get aggressive against the really strong aggression coming out from NIP.
Yeah, Damba, Eevee, of course. Eevee being played by Random Noob, just like you were saying. Damba, they're going to Mr. Hayes. Cassie is Rock. Khan, more than likely it could be either or of the frontliners in this case. But NIP, last two picks here.
Both DPSs.
True.
Unless they go triple tank.
Yeah, which I think that they're really just going to try and I really think the reason why I brought up Pip earlier is because I think Bittner's just going to do really well if they give him Pip here into them. I feel like that would be a lot. I feel like that would be easier even into the Cassie Eevee. Like, what do you think? Oh, yep. Hey.
Yeah, it'll be effective, especially into the Inara, if they can bait out the Earthen Guard. Telki's going to have to be very, very careful if this Pip does come in when he uses his Earthen Guard, because if it's down, that Evil Mojo's going to be super effective. Could be going the other slot, though. Leon, a little bit more consistent into the Eevee, able to shut down that aggression from Random, and I think if NIP feels like they shut down that side of the map, then they can put more into shutting down Rock. If they can lock down that flank that Rock could be playing on, potentially, maybe put 3 people on that side instead of 2 because you think Leon can single-handedly slow down the Eevee, that could be another way that NIP kind of deals with Envy.
Yeah. Okay, so they are going to go both Leon and Pip, which makes sense. Leon has 2 auto-aim abilities. It's going to be a little bit harder for Eevee to really try and maneuver for free. On top of that, like you were just mentioning, it's going to be really easy to be able to pin down that Cassie from a distance, especially with presence in mind. Inara is going to be the last pick for Envy here. Of course, she is open. Inara Khan. Really, really strong, sustainable comp, actually. We saw it a little bit yesterday, too, I believe. I remember which team it was that ended up picking it, but it was really, really strong. Khan and Nara sustainability all around the board. You got Battle Shot, of course. You got Inara's insane amounts of DR that she has on from multiple sources, and I think that's just good. Inara, Damba as well. So Khan, Cassie, Aldamba, Eevee, Inara.
Having the Cassie on the side of the Inara definitely makes it easier for Inara, which is going to go to Tolkien more than likely to be able to survive a little bit more. That percentage health percentage health shred not being in the picture. But in Archon, this is like the control composition, I would say, combined with the Damba that adds even more control to that. Envy definitely looking to slow down the pace of the game for sure. NIP, though, it's going to be very difficult for Envy to survive through the onslaught that NIP is going to be bringing. A Pip weightlessing in with Inflame, with Evil Mojo, with that Catalyst damage boost spread across the team. There's a lot of aggression on NIP's side, and I would have to give them the edge for how close-knit this map is. A lot easier for them to cross that gap and get into the core of Envy.
Exactly, yeah. Barrick, Ashe, Fury, Leon, Pip. I entirely agree with that. You've got a lot of aggression on that team. Yesterday, said it before, NIP drafted Fury a lot. They're still opting to go for it here. The Inflame is going to play a very, very huge role. Looking like a rough game for Envy. Game 2 on its way, though.
Yeah, it's very hard to bet against Pip, especially when it's Bittner playing the Pip, of all people. Arguably the best in the world. Brought it out of kind of retirement yesterday for us on Bright Marsh, doing it again here today. And we asked him about it post-game, and he was saying, yeah, he's actually in a pretty good spot. Maybe we should play him more. And lo and behold, it Pip one more time.
Honestly, the thing NIP have done this week that is standing out to me, in this game, has yet to be seen whether or not it still hits the same mark as what we've seen so far. But they're willing to pull out things other teams aren't. And that was the thing that they had during the first phase, was just they're playing Pip, nobody else is playing Pip at that level. Even when they pick it up, it just doesn't hit the same as when Bittner was playing it. They're playing Buck. Who else is trying to play Buck right now? Like, they are that mentality of, you know what, let's just try this out, see if it works. And we're in a meta right now where pretty much everyone is viable. I mean, rip in peace Andro and Koga, but everybody else tends to come through, at least has had a game under their belt.
Well, NIP are at their best when they're changing things up, right? I mean, that's sort of where, like you said, that's where they made their mark in split number 1, and maybe starting to get back to some of that here. Plenty of low health targets for Bittner to take advantage of. Not going to get too aggressive, just zone out. Nobody's stepped foot on the point yet, despite NIP being so in control of the start of this game. Finally now, Bonker moves forward and gets himself in there to garner some percentage. Shoulder bash goes through. 3 members of Envy waiting around the corner, though. Have to think carefully about when to engage. First Evil Mojo of the game, 1 minute and 45 seconds in. Instant execute onto Random Noob, and the assist onto Tulki as well. I mean, Tip is impactful at his base kit, but you look at that ultimate, that flips this mid.
Just being able to find the CC, find a kill on it, and it immediately makes it worthwhile. But a polymorph for that amount of time is fantastic for what you can do with it. And just in terms of zoning, let alone in terms of the CC that's going to be able to come through, and the 1,500 health that all of a sudden all your targets are at. Makes it a lot easier for you to be able to kind of burn them down.
Wow.
And unfortunately for Envy, they're going to get burned down.
Random Noob was hanging outside of that back window, kind of underneath where Bittner is right now. And you can see as he uses the Ice Storm. I was surprised. I think that he figured, nice triple kill there from the Eevee as I speak. I digress, though. I mean, I think that they maybe thought that they were going to have enough time to get Tulki in there, and Random Noob didn't think he needed to blink in. But the timing, just a little bit off. It looked like a retake from Envy, but NIP, they're in control, and they grabbed themselves point number 1.
Pretty much the perfect timing to start picking up those kills as well. I mean, you come through, if you're going to miss the objective, you got to be able to do something at the beginning of the defense, right? And this is about as good as you can get. You've stalled pretty much a full minute out from NIP being able to find a push. If you can get this kill onto Rock Monkey, though, might open that door back up. Bird's going to be able to clean that one up. And a good assert dominance kind of reclaims and demands the ground that NIP need to get back onto the objective. They can start this, granted, with only 1.5 minutes, but again, for Bright Marsh, plenty of leeway.
Yeah, that's quick. That's very quick. Big stagger onto Envy here. Bittner's definitely had his impact onto this game. I was a little taken aback, Gore, by how fast that first Evil Mojo was ready.
Yeah.
What did we count? That one game where they had like 9 over the course of a couple rounds or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I mean, I remember, and this is actually one of the things to kind of keep in mind as well. Evil Mojo does come out. Good stun, going to be able to keep
great.
Rock Monkey alive, though. And it is that hallmark. 2 minutes, 30 seconds is the average ult, I would say. Maybe a little sooner than that now that teams have been getting a little more aggressive. But like that's kind of like your average, okay, I'm going to be able to get my ult. Between tanks and like if, you know, the tank is on the one side, like Terminus Reanimate's going to take much longer. Cassie Scout's going to take much shorter. But him being able to get it about 150, 147-ish for that first ult means he's very aggressive, good healing, good damage coming out for him to be able to kind of get that percentage up. And if he goes into morale boost, that just means it's going to be happening more frequently. It's going to become a lot more dangerous. Speaking of more dangerous, Bonker in a dangerous position, but got a little bit of ground there.
I think he knows where, or Random Noob rather, knows that Bonker's back there. The rest of Envy looking to collapse. He is going to use the Dome Shield to stay alive, get himself some healing as well. Overtime starts. Bright Marsh is the short map, though, so if NIP are able to kind of snowball this this little stall out into a fight victory, things become interesting for Envy. They have the ultimates on their side. Use the Dread Serpent, get some good CC. Bonker, first blood, feared out by the snakes. Running into the waiting arms of Random Noob. Diggy Dog now as well. Shoulder bashes his way back into the fight. Bittner very low. Random Noob gets the kill onto the pip. That might be important to the end of this defense, and with Diggy Dog being walled off, it certainly will be. So a good defensive fight there from Envy. They only invest the Dread Serpent. That's an important point for them.
They didn't get the push, but I will say I have to appreciate the communication and the confidence NIP have in their teammates. Like something that admittedly has been kind of lacking, or at least has felt like it was lacking. Bonker is one hit from dead. Drops the Dome Shield, and in any regular world, you can just walk in and pop it.
Right.
And you walk out of there like Rock Monkey, Random Noob, one shot is going to be able to kill him. Even Tulky or Rubu could probably have gone in there. The minute the Dome Shield comes down, a healing potion and a Furia heal collapse in on him, and he's full health. Like, it all happens at one moment, and it's just that kind of calls, that kind of communication, and that kind of team play is something that we got used to seeing from NIP.
Yep.
And it's just refreshing to see that it's back.
Yeah, I mean, now's the time where you need to start hitting your stride moving forward. Good stun onto Diggy Dog. That's a seismic crash, and even better Evil Mojo. 3 are turned into chickens. 2 are capitalized on, with a 3rd waiting in the wings. Beautiful setup from NIP, and that is why Pip is so potent on Bright Marsh.
And they just all in the right area, the perfect position coming down. I mean, there's so many factors that go into it, but at the end of the day, Bittner's just really good and makes a great call to be able to get that. Good follow-up from the team, but it's still 39-33. NIP are just kind of barely cutting this. They don't even get the edge, really, on the objective. So you're going to need a little more than Bittner to make this one work out.
They do get the overpower onto Alex. This time around, Battle Shout moves the line forward for Team Envy. Shoulder bash up to the high ground from Diggy Dog. Watch out for the assert dominance, and Flame as well. The moment that NIP feel that they're ready to go, and that seems to be right now. Shoulder bash in to the left-hand side. The rest of NIP starting to move forward. Assert dominance rains down inside onto the point. Team Envy are able to back off without losing any team members, and that's very important in these side moments. At 99%, Dread Serpent comes right back out and gets the kill onto Diggy.
At least being able to open that back up. Bonker's still around here somewhere, but with no Bittner, it's going to make it a lot more difficult. Bird's going to have to go big, and he ends up dropping down like a fly.
One more kill onto Bonker. A double for Tulky on the Inara. Much better look than his con on Fish Market. Shows you why he's one of the best point tanks. Helps his team seal that one up. Random Noob at a 15 streak on the Eevee. Certainly paying off in dividends here for Team Envy. And a better just kind of use of those ultimates. The moment that Inflame came out, Core, Envy were able to back right off and kind of weather that storm.
This is becoming very quickly the Random Noob show for Envy. And Evil Mojo, once again, actually thwarted that time by Rubu. But 8-2-12, 16 streak now, since we're looking at him a little more. But they just aren't dealing with this Eevee in a way that works, right? And that's actually one of the other things to look at. Leon's a great champion for NIP. Pip is a great champion for NIP. Both of those are Bittner's champions, though. Alex has Leon, and it's just not the same slaughter that we saw yesterday when Bittner had Leon. And at the end of the day, it's just going to come down to differences in play style, maybe differences in practice. And most of the time when they have Leon, usually Bittner's getting it, so I don't know how much Alex might have her under his belt. But that's kind of making a big difference right now. He's the one who should be killing Random Noob, And that 20 streak is saying he's not doing his job.
Well, you bring up the Leon, and he's been overpowered twice, I guess, to be fair to Alex. He hasn't really been able to get super involved. But even in these moments right here, you need to be identifying Random Noob and getting those kills. The Dread Serpent sends a couple running. Finally, the streak shut down by Eevee. Payload so close to going in. Diggy Dog's health bar melting. 90% DR on the shoulder bash is going to keep him alive just for a moment as Bittner dives into the back line and finds a kill onto Rock Monkey, but not before Toki is able to answer back. All in favor of NIP with the respawn so close. If Toki is able to extend this a little bit, maybe this is good for Envy. Still 40 seconds left, though. That's the important thing to look at. And that payload could not be closer to going in as it finally slowly begins to roll back.
And eyes all on, well, where NIP keep their eyes, and also Random Noob. If they step away from this for a second and that Eevee slips in, it's as good as done. They need to be able to kind of buy themselves more than the 20 seconds they got if they want to be able to hold on to this. And I swear, it's almost like you could hear me. The minute I tell Alex that he's just not doing his job, the man's aim just lines up perfectly.
Hanging back. Dome shield down, seismic crash out, as well as the enlightenment. Bittner forced back to the high ground. 1-for-1 trade here as the pip starts to kind of tee off, find some great damage. It's down to just a couple of members of Team Envy. Into the ice block goes Random Noob, gets a kill as well. Things continuing to be interesting. Bittner falls. Now it's down to Bonker to stay alive. He gets disengaged. A good shot from Rock Monkey, spells a double kill, but he's now knocked back as Diggy Dog is back in on the respawn. Assert Dominance waiting. He's not going to get it off in time, and the payload's still just an inch away.
Well, they used the Dread Serpent at the tail end of it to ensure it coming through. So that is at least going to pull one big ult away from Envy going into the next round. But they get the conversion, which I think is even bigger for them. Again, not only just stabilizing, but kind of sticking it to NIP in a way that just kind of signifies that just because you are still, you know, this phenomenal team, we are on the rise. We are the world champions right now, and you will have to do a little more in order to best us. But you have to kind of get Random Noob out of the zone. You need something that trips him up. You need to stop him from feeling comfortable. 12, 3, and 20 right now for this Eevee. Top damage over a Leon, over a Cassie. He's doing so much work right now that if you can just get rid of him at the beginning of the round, get rid of him maybe like 10 seconds after the first skirmish, it's going to trip up all of Envy's rhythm.
Well, 3 deaths is not close to enough onto Random Noob. If you're NIP, you need a lot more than that if you're going to weather the ice storm that he's bringing to the table here. Envy back onto the point, looking to win the game with a capture here. Scout for Envy starts it off. They're already up to 60%. They'll have a chance to get back into this one. Fast cap for NIP, might not come to that. Toki finds the kill. One Evil Mojo countered out by CC onto Toki. No kill onto that one. Bittner forced back. Watch out for Random Noob blinking in, but an overpower onto Bird is a great start. They don't get the kill. Finally, Toki finishes it off, but not before Rubu falls as well.
It's going to be 84 to 39 right now, as Toki's going to be able to move back into the objective, keeping it low and in control for Envy, but that Assert Dominance is at least going to be able to give Diggy Dog some semblance of dominance in here. Question is how much they can do with this amount of pressure. Again, it's only enough to reclaim the land and say you can't take it for 8 seconds. What do they do after that? What does he kind of do with his aggression?
Well, overtime begins. Bird gets the kill. Alex forces back Rubu. Things might slow down just for a second, but not for too long. 89% for NIP. Envy need to get their way back in. Good slide to the side. Bird has been doing lots of killing here on maybe this final mid-fight. If you can get Random Noob, that might just be the end of this round. They force them back. Envy don't want to roll those dice. And NIP stall out just for one more round. They have a chance to tie the game at 3 with a successful push here.
This is the perfect time, in my eyes, to bring it up, and that is that Envy, on a lot of these Friday matches against NIP, they tend to win. And I think the last time they did it, it was a 4-1 in their favor. But every single one of those came at a loss for Envy on Thursday, and I believe a win for NIP on Thursday. Usually comes through kind of like something to kind of rekindle the fire, I think, underneath Envy. But they're coming into this fresh this week. You know, if you're NIP, you had to prepare for Renegades, which, if you look at the standings, might not sound like much, but at the end of the day, they're still a good team you have to be worried about, as says by the 4-2 scoreline for that one. But you have to figure something else out about Envy. And, you know, maybe bringing something that is different, you know, you're bringing back the Pip is going to do a lot, but they still have that experience against them. They figured it out last split. And so they're looking like they've maybe kind of got some of that memory still built into them. The question is if they can convincingly win this set, and it's just an NIP thing now for them, or if it is that losing into a win that really keeps them going.
Well, that if nothing else, and I don't want to overextend here, but that's going to be important to look at for the quarterfinals. I mean, these are all teams that it's not necessarily confirmed yet. I mean, as SSG can, you know, kind of keep things interesting. But as of right now, if these are your quarterfinal teams, you're not going to have a week of preparation. You're going to show up on Saturday in the quarterfinals and need to play without having any games. Sure, you're going to be scrimming and all that, but you're going to have one shot to move on.
And at the end of all that, what you are watching right now, this could be a semifinal matchup. Like, depending on how quarterfinals go, depending on where these guys end up in their, you know, respective standings, they could face each other for, this could be a world championship fight, this could be a semifinal fight. There's a lot of stuff that can shake out coming into the future. Of course, that can be said of a lot of these matches that are coming up in the next few weeks.
It's going to be an action-packed 3 weeks. It's going to be an action-packed 3 weeks, to be sure.
Like,
this is the
12, 15,
least amount of
18
games
or something that are still left.
We're going to have lots of 3-game days moving forward. Just one today. It's a good one so far. 5 seconds left on this push. Payload moved a little bit forward. Not far enough to grab NIP the point yet. They are contesting. Overtime begins a little bit further back than last time they were on offense. Bittner up from the high ground. That's a big kill on the Diggy Dog as well for Rock Monkey. Traded out. This is all in Envy's favor if they're able just to add a couple more kills. Not necessary. They find themselves the space. Force NIP back. One more chance to end the game.
Bird had a huge moment that round. It was actually when he got overpowered. There was a point where, I mean, he just stayed alive for a little bit longer, but was able to help get a little bit of return damage. Inflame has been very, very big for NIP. And being able to use that to kind of control the flow of the fight. So far, Envy have been able to adapt appropriately to it. I mean, Dread Serpent is probably the best disengage for something like an Inflame, where it's just like, cool, you want to fight? Walk through this CC. Like, there's no way you're getting to at least one of us. If they're positioned properly, that's 2 to 3 people that he's going to save just on that. And you can see the resiliences that are coming through. All tier 2 right now, which I believe lets them hit the floor. Only 2 seconds there for Bittner on that polymorph. So they have 2 seconds when he uses that to kill a chicken.
It's going to be close. Resilience is paying off in dividends. Rock Monkey with the first kill here as Alex trades back. Rubu up on the lip, up above as Alex wraps around, gets the kill onto Tulki, now takes up the mantle on point for NIP, getting themselves some percentage. Rubu's going to drop down, try to counter out as much of that as he can. The line is drawn. Mr. Hayes has stayed alive. Rock Monkey hanging out in the window as well, looking for a little bit of poke. Bonker, very aggressive up to the high ground. Drops down the dome shield and forces Envy back.
A couple of shots right there, and that's exactly what Alex needed. Enlightenment's still available as well, so if he needs to save his life or get a burst kill, he's going to be able to have it. Some good shots into Tulki, but that's some bad trades. Bittner, Bird, Bonker, all 3 Bs taken down for an IP. And so Alex is going to have to go big. Or they're going to be sent, well, not home, but at least out of Brimarsh.
That's right. Could tie it up at 1. Envy now with the zone. Things calming down, no damage exchanged. They're going to move forward here, 60% for Team Envy. No ultimates just yet. Maybe you have an overpower towards the end of this round. Inflame, Evil Mojo, a couple of ults to keep your eye on.
And I think Inflame's probably going to be the big one. 70% already there and rising incredibly fast for Bird. Plus they have a half comeback mechanic. It's going to give them just a little bit of accelerated cap against Envy here. And with this amount of aggression, I mean, you can already see they've matched the 87. They're going to pass it here, and if they can keep this level of control and kills up, it's their point.
And suddenly it's desperation touches for Team Envy. They had everything in their control, but one concerted effort from NIP takes all ground that Envy had. That's going to be point number 3, and as in control as Envy were, they are now facing the barrel, or they're looking down the barrel of a loss, and look at Random Noob Slashline. Look at the difference. That made. He was, what, 10-3 and something at the end of a couple rounds ago. Since then, he's gone 5-7 effectively.
It's a lot that has been unfortunate scenarios for him, and honestly, the damage numbers start to tell the difference. Alex is hitting way more shots. He's doing exactly what you expect a Leon to do, and that is anti-flank against the Eevee, a lot of damage here against Rock Monkey. And he's just locked in. I don't know what they did between rounds 2 and 3, but a triple kill here and an Immortal as he comes through. A 14 streak now picked up for him. And it's coming around the last bin. NIP could still win this map.
He just needed some time to get warmed up, and a triple kill says that he is warm. An overpower onto Bonker, stalls out just for a moment. A minute and a half left, though. I mean, you're going to get Bonker back off respawn. Maybe it turns things around. Shield not enough to block the Evil Mojo. They get a kill, but trade out one is Random Noob. He's able to help Rock Monkey find a return. Enlightenment doesn't connect either, but Alex grabs 2 kills. Huge double kill, make it 3 yet again for the Leon. The respawns are out. Rubu's gonna have to Commander's grab down to the low ground. I'm not sure he's gonna be in range. Everyone else staggered out. Dome Shield goes down, so does the Khan, and NIP complete their comeback.
Now I'm going to give it to Envy here. That would have been the most difficult sequence of events for them to ever beat that game down. Really good staggers, really good kills, and really zoned in players from NIP. I mean, the CC coming down, the Evil Mojo, perfectly timed to get 2 people. Hits those 2 people, kills off one of the tanks. Right as Bonker is coming back into the engagement with his Dome Shield charged up, those moments, it just felt like the odds were starting to get stacked against them. And once you hit that, you have to go to a different level. Alex, on the other hand, was the different level towards the end. I mean, early on, not hitting anywhere near as hard. Random Noob is just off the leash, and he got chained up pretty well by that Leon towards the end.
Alex, what more needs to be said? Game 3, right after this.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back, guys, to the PPL. NIP, what a comeback against Envy. Man, oh man, on Bright Marsh, on top of that, Envy was looking extremely good at first, but then NIP were just able to turn that around like it was nothing, Kresnik.
Yeah, I mean, on Envy's pick, on NIP's pick, the Envy
pick,
looked like they were going to take it. We were going to have it go both ways, basically, each team taking each other's map picks, but NIP, they remembered what they were doing with that aggressive composition, and Alex specifically really coming into his own as that game went on. I would say that, for me, Alex has been a solid player, but never a standout player. But if anyone's standing out looking at these post-game stats right now, I mean, just look at Alex.
Right, exactly.
That's 172,000 damage across that game.
I mean, I felt like he was already at the top as it was, but there was a brief point in time where on NIP, there was nobody that was positive except for Bird. And then all of a sudden, you switch it around like that. Look at that. 20, 12, and 16 on top of having the most damage in the game. 173,000, man. I mean, that's a turnaround. That deserves for Alex to be talked about once again this go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, also, Diggy, Ash Life.
Oh, yeah. That's an Ash game
Win
right
the
there.
game 5-13. You know, it really just be like that sometimes. Not really much options you could do. Random Noob started the game fantastic, too.
Yeah.
But you got to think, he started this game 12-3. Now he's 15-12.
Yeah.
So that's 3-9 for the rest of the game for him. And I think Alex was the reason why that might have been happening. So much aggression from off of that inflame, so hard for anybody to get in through that constant pressure that Alex is putting out on this Leon.
Of course. I mean, you see him right here. 20 kills, 2.3 KDA, 172,000 damage, 768. Like, my goodness. I mean, you just see the power it was that he had all the way in, like, this back line. Of course, Bender was applying pressure. I mean, everyone on NIP was. It's just how they play. They play extremely aggressive, but you see situations like that where he uses the alignments, he's just bursting these targets that you weren't expecting to be bursted, like a Gnar, for goodness sakes.
The announcer just said 8 things over himself at the same time because he was trying to say double kill, triple kill, godlike, annihilation, all at the same moment. And I think that basically sums up the end of that game for sure. Fantastic performance there from NIP and Alex in particular, really helping them kind of flip things around as the game went on. And with that second 0-2 down for Envy, they have to pick their own. They're back to their map pick. We are into the losers pick section of the game, so whoever loses will be bringing in the next map, and Envy's going to be taking us to Serpent Beach.
Nice. Okay, that's a map it is that we are starting to see, not necessarily the uprise of. Most people don't typically go to them. A lot of the times you see Bright Marsh, Jag take precedence over that, but at the same time, Serpent Beach. Now we're here in Game 3. Of course, starting off the game with the Willow Band. Who would have not expected that at this point?
Especially on Serpent.
Yeah,
such a vertical
right, exactly.
map. Fae Flight really gets you a lot of control, especially since the point is also on top of the map being very vertical, so Flutter gives you a lot of value. The map is also kind of very open point, so Willow being able to have a lot of free fire angles onto that with the dead zone, the seedling, so much space control, makes a lot of sense to see Willow taken out.
Yeah, I mean, of course, right now the ban clock is ticking down. They're using some of their bank time, really just trying to consider who they want to take out of the game right now. And it's going to be Strix. Of course, they don't want to be able to give that over. Just a team like Envy, you got some good players who can pull that off, especially Rock. Makoa, Atlas are gone, though. 4 characters are already gone. Envy are going to open us up with Khan.
Makes sense on this map, I think. Overpower, a very good tool to equalize that high ground defense. If Envy does manage to win that first middle, moving in from there, you can pull someone down from the high ground with Overpower. Definitely the only way to quickly equalize that with Makoa out of the picture. Free picks give you an option to be able to push on a map that I would say is historically pretty difficult to convert. NIP answering with what's been their first pick, I think the last 2 games in a row. Pulling out this Barrack, getting that very, very strong point tank, and clearly it's been bringing them to success lately.
Yeah, Barrack, once again, this 3rd time in a row, we're seeing not only this guy hovered, but more than likely going to be picked on NIP's side. I mean, they really love this character. I mean, it's been doing work for him. I mean, you already have 2 games under the belt at this point with him being accompanied on your team, and they're opening it up with the Barrack Cassie again. They've been going back to this time and time again. The only time where they couldn't do it was last game, where Envy went the Barrack Cassie. But the very first game, NIP went Barrack Cassie before it. Now they're going Barrack Cassie in Game 3. It's looking really good for them.
I mean, they've had the Barrack every game. Last game was the only one they didn't end up with the Cassie. And 2-0 up currently over Envy. I think I would be pushing the same draft myself as well if I was in that position. If it's not broke, don't fix it, especially considering we have these really, I mean, not really similar maps, but these are such versatile picks that they're able to be used everywhere. If Envy go Maeve here, it was decent for them, I think, on Fish. Not as good as Random's Eevee was on Bright Marsh, but still a strong pick, very flexible character, able to play at range, close. Midnight is a great way to do an aggressive push, and Envy actually could end up with a double. If they go May Fury here, they could have that kind of double global ultimate. That would give them a lot of aggression. Plus, it would starve NIP from that damage amp, from that gas pedal ultimate. They might go with the Ashe instead, taking the double off tank, but leaving Fury up for Bird yet again.
Yeah, they're going for the fish market draft once again. The Khan Ashe, the double off tank, except for Ashe, what would have been Ruckus in this case if it was really like how fish market went the first time around. But that's fine either or. The whole premise is that they're going double off tank once again. They're going for the Maeve as well, of course, to give to Random Noob right there, NIP, considering their options for who they want to try and not necessarily counter, but who they want to feel comfortable with. Of course, it's more than likely going to be the Furia. I mean, they are just going back to this character time and time again, and I can understand why they want to prioritize it.
Yeah, with the pressure that they get.
Okay,
but
never mind.
Might be Ying instead, similar in terms of the ultimate, and it makes sense if they want to. They're going Ying over Furia because they are potentially going this Inara.
You are not welcome
very, very
here.
strong. This isn't a control kind of tank combination. Nara very good at that. Barrack also can lock down an area while applying a lot of damage, and Ying has a similar ultimate in the sense that it's global, supports your whole team, except a little bit more defensive. A lot of the time, you can still use it aggressively, but being able to kite away and hide and kind of utilize, you know, cleansing, cauterize, and refighting, big deal. It definitely, I think, fills in for that role of Furia pretty effectively. IO potentially coming up for for Envy, excuse me, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see the IO come out with the double off tank that they have.
Sure.
This aggressive composition, it's what IO's kind of built for.
Right, exactly. I mean, they did it on Fish Market too, where they pretty much just stuck Luna on the point, or they stuck somebody on the point, waited for somebody to actually be able to try and control that point pressure, stuck Luna on it, and then you got 2 off tanks, both Khan, Ashe, already looking super good. They're going to go for the Drogos, though. That's going to be really, really nice. IO, of course, is going to be the last pick. This is their composition. Khan, Ashe, Maeve, Drogos, IO. Now, who are they going to actually try and stick the Drogos onto? Is going to be Is it really going to try and be random noob?
Oh yeah, it's always going to be random.
That's what I was going to say because I've seen
Now,
Rock.
yes,
I've seen Rock
I
play
know
Maeve.
Rock played Drogo's in the King of the Ring.
No.
But
that's not what I was about to say. I was about to. No, trust me.
Maeve is the flexible.
Seen the man's Drogos.
Yeah, Maeve is the flexible. Goes either way. So with the blaster coming in the other slot, for sure, it's going to be random noob filling in on the Drogos there. And NIP, they could go a hit scan if they want to have a more direct counter to deal with him. Double backline works pretty well with that control-y tank composition that they have. Leon, Victor, all definitely viable picks. Alex could fill in on that Cassie for sure if need be for them. There's a couple things available. We'll have to see where they end up. They could also bring out the Buck again. Buck is hit scan, has that verticality that they'd be lacking. And again, NIP, it's strange to me that they could perform so well on Eevee, I think, and then still stray away from it for the Buck, but I guess it makes sense for that heal, sustained, focused composition that they're bringing to the table for Serb.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we saw a Buck try and get just busted down on, and like from Leon with the Enlightenment one-on-one situation where he's just able to live in a situation like that. I mean, he's got the durability, he's got the damage too, and like you said, the verticality, especially against this Drogos, that's going to be really important.
Well, maybe not so much against the Drogos, just ability to climb up top if they do win those middles. Although you have to find like the one right spot, because if you're just a little bit off, you'll be right next to the ledge, just falling back down. And either way, if anyone's going to know those spots, it's going to be NIP. They're playing Buck more than anyone. See how it goes.
Game 3, Serpent Beach. Let's do it, guys.
Well, one more look at Buck here for NIP, and another look at IO for Envy. Similar team compositions to what we got on Fish Market. Goremizer and NIP looking good so far in this set, up 2-0, and this is a big one. You go up 3-0, the odds greatly diminished from that point on.
No, honestly, Kresnik was mentioning something, and I think it's incredibly important, and that is that Buck, you see Eevee here not only way more often, but against the Maeve, that's the matchup, right? This is one of the maps that for a long time I feel has been one of Buck's best maps, and I think he might be able to handle this Maeve better than Eevee could. And when you're looking at that kind of impact, and then of course what he can do maybe there after the fact if he gets rid of her, this is pretty solid. And I'm wondering how he's kind of adjusted his loadout. Again, one of the things that he had kind of looked at prior would have been no leg day. And if you're Buck here on this map, it gives you that extra little bit of jump that you can use to jump from ledge to ledge to ledge, and potentially being able to open that up. And actually, no, going to be running the exact same thing. So he's feeling comfortable, and he got the kill, so you can't look down on it.
Worked once, no reason it won't work twice, and gets first blood. 51% for NIP. As they start to put in the zone now. You hear the constant rockets ringing down from Random Noob, but the health bar's not quite diminishing just yet. Bonker does get pretty low. Random Noob one shot away. It was only a matter of time before Alex jumped on through and cleaned up that kill. He was just looking for the right moment to strike, and he found it. Fox on the point to contest. Once that goes down, the percentage goes up for NIP. Just a few more kills will seal up point number 1. Rubu targets on all sides. Toki down to half health as well. Couple ultimates starting to fly out. Bittner, though, or starting to come up, rather. Bittner gets the first blood. Forces back Toki as well. Overtime expiring as NIP look great for point number 1.
I mean, being able to find this, Toki is way too low to be able to touch through. Io has not been able to keep Luna on this objective for that long at all. And while Toki does get a kill,
I guess that's a staggering overpower.
Cost of himself, yeah.
Maybe Dragon Punch does the same. You staggered out with the overpower. Dragon Punch didn't connect. And this Buck is just something that Envy weren't able to figure out on Fish Market. And yet again, I mean, it's not all on Alex on the Buck, but it's been just different enough.
That was a good be gone.
It was a good be gone. I was looking over at you, and now we see Mr. Hayes with 4. Not usually what you see for an IO, but he'll take it.
Any day of the week. I mean, you grab 2 with your B-Gon, and that's already pretty solid for you. And then following up with 2 kills. I mean, IO does a pretty decent chunk of damage, but, well, Buck is going to go wild in this case, and he's already getting a lot of damage down. Gets rid of Tolki. And this is actually where things, I think, start to shift in better favor. Now that I'm thinking more about the Buck, it's a great way to deal with Mr. Hayes, kind of control him and keep his movement locked down. It's fantastic in the matchup against Maeve. And then that just goes into little things with Random Noob, little things with Tolkien, little things with the Rubu, where Alex is going to have arguably a better matchup that could potentially come through. Again, Cauterize, it's going to be your best friend against this guy.
Ow.
But you got to get to the point where you can afford Cauterize 3. And as of right now, I mean, Alex is coming up big in a lot of these games. You're going to need to rush it, Kieran.
Good wall. Not enough, though, to keep Random Noob out. Bonker catches those hands, the dragon hands. Another Be Gone. Oh, no. That was just the heal sound. Sounded like it was Be Gone, but not up just yet. 80% on that one for Mr. Hayes. Doing some good healing here, though. Keeping his dragon alive. That's been tough for him throughout the first half of this one. 94% on that Be Gone. Grab 2, and then followed up with 2 more for a quadra kill. Mr. Hayes, a flashy start on the IO. Not enough, though, to grab them the first point as NIP. 20 seconds left. Right back onto this payload. Be Gone now is ready. Might be used for some disengage as Rubu grabs kill number 1, but Alex, one more time, leaps on through, and if he's able to get out alive, which he's not, as Random Noob grabs the kill, that would have been very important for NIP.
Yeah, with Bonker gone, I mean, Bittner, he's amazing at this game. I do not see him single-handedly turning this one around right now. Although, I mean, you're going to be able to touch, get overtime, get a Nara in here. He might trade his life for it. A beautiful wall stops those daggers. There's going to be enough healing. But they're still very much in this. Now Alex is back and ready to go.
Yeah, you really need like 2 fights here for NIP to go your way. First kill onto Rock Monkey. It's a good way to start it, but immediately traded out onto Bittner Bird. All the way back around the corner. Healing not there, not in range. And a good defense from Team Envy to catch their breath. And honestly, now you look back at Mr. Hayes' quadra kill, which I imagine we'll get a look at here. That stalled out what ended up being a pretty good offense from NIP.
Yeah, this is about as perfect a start, I think, as you can
Oh,
get.
no,
He gets
jumped into
both
it.
of the tanks. And that's the thing, I think that's the key, right? It's not, oh, he got a Nara and the Ying, or Nara and the Cassie, and Nara and the Buck. He got the tanks. And so what is everyone else supposed to do? It's a full team wipe. And that's honestly maybe better for NIP there, but it was a rough start to what became a rough push as they could not continue flowing forward with it. And Be Gone ready, 5-1 and 5 here for Mr. Hayes. It's hard to get a quadra kill and not have a good slash line.
Yeah.
As he's coming through here. But all ults across the board. Bonker a little behind the trail, but he'll be able to catch up soon. Bulldozers will be coming online, and that might make it a little harder for Mr. Hayes to be as potent.
Yep, something to keep your eyes on. Battle Shout as well. Lots of grouped up members of NIP here. Dragon Punch catches Diggy Dog as Bonker now getting poked out by the Drogo. So good look here to start off for Team Envy. Another Buck Wild into the back line. Alex finds 1 kill, looking for a second Be Gone. Does catch him, so disengage, but Alex is going to be able to move his way right back on it.
That was like the perfect name for that ability in that instance where it's just like, just get out of here.
Yeah, please leave.
Just stop doing, like, right after, like, Buck Wild's going, I know you're going to kill me if you stay here. Just leave and make this a little bit easier for it. NIP, though, still have 4 of their ults. Buck Wild has been used. Envy are starting to feel it, but Midnight's still available, which is great for not only a recap, but potentially just winning a fight in general.
Well, NIP were down 4v5 as you look at numbers. They were fine to take that fight. Dome Shield, Illusory Rift, Seismic Crash, a cascade of ultimates for NIP win them this fight despite starting off at a disadvantage, and now they're very much in control of this side of the map. Diggy Dog playing very far forward. Going to send 1 back to play on the point. 90% for NIP. You're going to rely on somebody to dash in. This time it's Hayes. Gets walled off. Gets killed off as well. Now with no more healing, this looks much more dire for Team Envy. Overtime slowly creeping downward. That's a 1-for-1 healer trade.
Yeah, no healers. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult. Well, now without a tank, I'm going to argue more in favor of NIP. But the biggest thing is going to be how this Dragon Punch lands. If you can kind of dodge and stay alive. It hits Alex, which is better for NIP, honestly, just because Barrett gets to stay alive. They can still turn this fight around.
Overtime expiring now in favor of Team Envy. Midnight drops down as well.
Oh.
Doesn't move forward quick enough, Diggy Dog, and doesn't get his toesies on the point there. 2-for-1 is your score line. Team Envy grab themselves the lead with a chance to make it 3.
This feels very similar in fight flow to Bright Marsh. Like, a lot of it has been very, very much in the same vein, at least in again, general flow. NIP grabbed the first point. Envy get a really, really solid defense pretty much from the get-go and stop it about halfway. Comes into it. Envy grabbed the second point. I've already forgotten. I think they converted, which was helpful for them there. And then it starts to turn around for NIP as they get more acclimated to who they are playing, although they've definitely felt acclimated this time around. And it is that big performance. And I think at this point, it's kind of random noob. Again, he's not on anywhere near as big of a streak, but it's dealing with that Drogoz. The only person who can really do it reliably is Alex, but the problem is Alex has been drafted to deal with like 3 or 4 of the champions on Envy.
I was going to say, you look at Drogoz, and maybe this is just because Buck is not in, well, maybe he now is, but hasn't been in the meta. You don't really consider Buck as a big counter to Drogoz, maybe just because of the nature of Serpent Beach. But Alex has been high-flying, grabbing the shots onto Random Noob, flanking at the right times. He's in the spot here again, now getting healed up by Mr. Hayes, where he was low. Dragon Punch as well, could tilt this one, looking for the Buck. The jump's not going to get you out of range of that one. So Team Envy grab a couple of kills, get the payload moving forward. Finally, Random Noob on the better end of that trade.
I'm blanking on all 4 of the bans, but I can only imagine if Bittner was on Leon, this game would be a lot cleaner right now for NIP. And that's like the only difference I think you could really supplant on that team to make it hit a little harder is Bittner being on something hit scan to deal with Drogoz as opposed to this Cassie. This Cassie is really, really good, but he's got to start doing a little more. That's it's kind of the same call to action that Alex had during the last map, where it's just you don't see his name enough on the left-hand side of the kill feed where he's the one being able to kind of open this up.
Yep.
And that's what we need to start seeing. I mean, Bittner needs to start having that big impact that we're used to seeing out of him.
Overtime's going to expire. Nobody's streaking out right now. Yeah, Bittner's had a quieter go of things. Granted, it's hard when you've had such explosive games surrounding you. And that's kind of been the ebb and flow of this NIP roster, where any given game, somebody will be the one that's going off. A lot of the times it's Bittner. It was Alex in the last game. Bit of a quiet one here. It's a tough highlight to start with a missed overpower for Tulki, but makes up for it. A delayed triple kill of his own. Now we're tied up at 2, though, after a good defense from NIP. Ultimates ready to go, except the Illusory Rift, but that one charges quickly. NIP looking to grab point number 3 here.
No Dragon Punch, no Overpower available is probably the biggest deficits for Envy that they could probably face into this. I mean, Dragon Punch has been doing so much. Just making an immediate 4v5 has been big. Overpower, very similar vein of thought. Making an immediate 4v5. And now they're going to have to deal with that a little bit more. Luna on the point. Alex not getting that trade that time around. Rock Monkey gets the better of him. And now Envy are still in a pretty good position to get aggressive.
Yeah, and they don't spend anything. Rubu finally using the first ultimate of this team fight for Envy. Double kill for Random Noob on the back end of a good assert dominance from Rubu. The zone is on. 57% on the point. 4 ultimates still ready to go. 72%. NIP have 4 of their own to try to retake. Dragon Punch to counter out. Ooh, good movement from Bittner. Gets traded out by Diggy Alex moves through. Be gone one more time for Mr. Hayes, and what a time it was. Envy grab point number 3.
And now they're in a good position to potentially swing this one around, find themselves a win. They can just convert this one over. There's going to be an overpower. That's going to keep this payload moving pretty smoothly.
What?
No, but Barrett's going to be able to dash back on. He goes for the throw at a weird angle. And Diggy still gets taken down, but that was about as risky as it gets for overpowers.
Yeah, connected with the wall there and kept him on the map. They got the kill nonetheless. Just delayed maybe, if nothing else. And you know, we mentioned Bittner kind of melding into the shadows in this game. This is where you need your Cassie to start to hit some good shots. I mean, not 8 and 10. That's hardly a horrible slash line. Now 9 and 10, but it's not the same explosive performance. Compare it with the slash lines on Envy. This one doesn't look as close, at least in that regard, as it is on the scoreboard.
They can just annihilate, more of these tanks. It's going to be able to come through. And I think,
Getting close.
I mean, we see a couple of master writings coming down for NIP. I kind of wish they had a little more bulldozer. I think it would be more helpful for them here. But Envy, as you can see, 3 caught 3s, 1 caught 2, and then 1 record 3 on there as well. A lot of shield burst and a lot of, well, healing stoppage. So Alex, not anywhere near as potent as this game is coming around to its 14th minute.
We're getting very close here. Double kill from Rubu. Might grab Envy, their first win in this set. Dragon Punch as well. Flies on through. That one connects. Icing on the cake as Team Envy grab win number 1 on Serpent Beach.
The turning point of that one feels like it has a definitive point, and it is that Mr. Hayes play, right? That quadra kill feels like what Envy needed, not only to get reinvigorated into the game, but also that perfect moment of just stop. Stop where you are. Everything freezes for a second as he gets that, and then the game is quiet for a second as they get to move forward and find their defense. And that was the last bit of strength we've really got to see out of NIP. They got a defense for the next one, but they lost every single point afterward.
And that's, I think, what we needed to see out of Envy today. Just a sign of life to maybe start to get things rolling in their favor. That's a good win on Serpent Beach. The buck was something they didn't really have figured out on Fish Market. Did a much better job of really locking him down in this game, whether it was Dragon Punch, assert dominance, whatever it may be. They dealt with that buck and grabbed themselves the win. Let's find out if they can tie it in just a minute.
The Paladins Premier League is brought to you by Evil Mojo, developers of Paladins.
Welcome back, guys. Serpent Beach already in the books. Game 3 is all said and done, and Envy were the victors this time, managing to get their first victory against NIP. They're looking pretty good, and they opted to draft the IO once again.
Yep, and I think the adaptations they made to the draft really made a pretty big difference. Drogo's coming out and having the instead of the Ruckus, having the Ash, I think enabling a lot more aggression, really changed things. Different map, too. Didn't have to cover as much ground, so they were actually able to keep that aggressive pace in the face of NIP the whole time.
Right, exactly. I mean, we're going to take a look at the post-game stats, see what we got going on right here to tell more of the story. 107,000 damage for Bidner, 114,000 for Random Noob. Toki, 82,000, which is pretty high up there. Rubu, same thing, 88,000. And the healing, Bird did do a lot more, but I mean, at the same time, it is Ying. So the whole point of their composition was to try and go more sustainability. Of course, Alex, 61,000 on the buck. But I feel like the slash lines are also going to be a really, really good story here because of just the fact that Envy definitely woke up the set. I mean, Mr. Hayes, like on the IO, was so strong. He did so well this set.
Yeah, for sure. The IO, I think, really good performance by him. And I want to say that since it went to late game, I think that's kind of what had NIP falling off. I mean, Barrick, Buck, Ying, late game, going to be rough. And IO, as a support scaling into the late game, I think much stronger. You can't really do anything about that damage reduction. No aggression in the game anymore. Maybe it's time to bring it back, but that's not the conversation here. That is Mr. Hayes being able to constantly capture this objective with Luna, heal his team, apply a lot of damage, and honestly had some of the best Be Gone usage I've seen, I think, ever since we've seen IO in the game.
Right, exactly. I mean, let's talk about this a little bit. 11 and 5, that was so sick. I was popping off a little bit back there in the production room when I saw that because it was just as Buck crested over the hill, just get off, just be gone, immediately being used. And this was so sick too. just the positioning from him being able to knock off both of those targets, both frontliners too at that, and then of course moving in for the quadra to be able to pick up 2 of those kills. So good. And 11 kills at that on Mr. Hayes on a support, that has to be given some credit as well.
I mean, there's a screenshot in the community Discord, the competitive community Discord, of Random Noob at 0-2 and Hayes at 4-0, and I think that told the story of the start of the game for sure. I'm so happy to see Io finally being used to her potential. And I mean, before this set started, we talked about Mr. Hayes and what he brings to the table for Envy. Being able to grind this champion, learn her so quickly, and have it at this level for Envy to be playing around, I think that it really shows what he brings for them.
Exactly. I mean, on top of that, we're going to be looking at the next map, Game 4, and this is going to be Frog Isle.
And Nick's not here today, and we're with another Frog Isle game, and he's just
sad.
Infinitely cursed never to see Frog Isle again. But Frog Isle, sniper map, very 2-2 heavy map, I would say. You really want a tank in both lanes to stop them from being able to aggress onto you. And tank's not going to be banned to start, though. Maeve, coming out from NIP, don't want to have to deal with that midnight or that long-range pressure.
Yeah, of course. They're going to... Once again, like you had just mentioned, NIP are opting to go to ban the Maeve in this case. Envy, considering who they might go for, but at the same time, it's definitely going to be one of the frontliners at this point. But Frog Isle, very, very interesting. A map it is that we see every day. Oh, okay. Now that's interesting because NIP, all right, look.
So I just woke up. Is it 2018?
That's what I was about to say. I was like, okay, I understand Envy. They were known for picking Torvald for a while. But, I mean, Torvald's taken a back seat to a lot of different characters now. A lot of stuff's been opened up. But why Torvald now? Are they afraid of the sniper being pocketed?
No. Torvald is just very good at being aggressive in danger on this map. Plus, his ultimate is, you're going to get kills with it, no matter what you do with it. I mean, I feel like you could use it vertically in your own spawn, and someone would die. On Frog Isle, there's just so many ways to get knocked off the map. I know that just being able to pocket a flank, push danger, ignore the tank with a vertical flank, and have them land on the sniper or on whatever backline is playing in that window. I think that's why they banned the Torvald. Also, Meta Pusher is really, I think, he thinks that Torvald still has a place.
Okay.
We've spoken to him about it, how powerful he thinks that Torvald is. But like we discussed where he thought that Torvald will end up in this meta. Still thinks there's a chance, but because of that, Makoa and Atlas neither are banned. After NIP chose not to ban one, Envy can't answer by banning the other because then NIP will get a distinct advantage. So, Makoa for Envy, Rubu, so lethal on that character, and now they're going to get the best backline that they can to deal with that Atlas as well.
Right, of course. I mean, taking a little bit of time here. Again, Torvald, Khan, Strix, Maeve, all of them are taken off the board. They cannot be picked in this game at least. So, at the same time, Makoa is first pick, and I do agree they're probably going to go for the backline here to try and deal with this Atlas. What backline do you think?
Honestly, they could actually probably wait on the backline and get Victor, because Victor is sick on this map. He is very, very efficient at laying down damage, throwing that grenade over the wall.
Okay.
Sniper's still up, though. Rock Monkey still in Kinessa. Grabbing that. Going to make it still tough for the Atlas to go in, although I think the Kinessa-Atlas mashup is definitely less in favor of the backline than the Victor Atlas matchup is. Okay. But Kinessa's still very good, going to be able to pressure the rest of the composition, the rest of the teams, still very effectively. Okay. Although the burst means that if one shot gets missed, Atlas gets to cross a lot more ground before that damage comes in.
Evie, Barrick, going to be the fourth and fifth pick right here for NIP. Of course, you're looking at already a pretty sizable, really good composition. I mean, Atlas, Evie, Barrick. I mean, the fact that I even just mentioned Atlas on the side of NIP, that's really scary. We've seen him be given to Diggy before, and this man has popped off multiple times, whether it's Atlas, whether it's Makoa. You give Diggy the chance, and I mean, he's just going to pop off. I mean, the only thing it is you're going to be thinking about is literally who let the dogs out, is whatever you give Atlas to him. Of course, Envy are considering who they want to go for. So Maldumba, that much is true, and Nara as well. Of course, standard combo for this frontline support. But I like it so far. I mean, Envy's has a pretty sustainable composition already.
And the Dumba will be a little bit better at dealing with the EV if they manage to get the reload stun or the Dread Serpent. A lot of ways to slow down that EV. I want to say, EV on NIP being picked this early, that's not something we're really used to. I mean, we saw them pick Buck over EV 2 maps in a row.
Yeah.
And Buck we're not really seeing a lot, so NIP choosing EV means that they really think she has something very powerful on this map. They think that Eevee will be able to give them something that they wouldn't have otherwise, and Being able to land an Ice Storm on top of the Kinessa potentially if Rock's not ready could be a way to get a free kill, but I think if any sniper is going to be ready, will be Rock. But will he be ready for a triple tank shove into your face aggression?
I can
Maybe
get
not.
us out of here
I don't know.
alive.
I mean, Ash
Stay close
Ying,
and
I mean,
follow
into the
my
Kinessa,
lead.
she's got some meaty targets to take apart, but at the same time, all of those tanks can be pretty aggressive. They're versatile. You can play them however it is you want to. Atlas, of course, that divider is going to be, all right, look, Envy. Okay, I understand. No. Thank you. All right. I appreciate that personally for not giving me a false sense of hope right there, because Willow isn't banned. Neither team decided to do that. And no, Envy, it's okay. No, I get it. It's fine. No, like.
Well, maybe if anything, they could use it as a sustain tool.
There
Maybe
we
they
go.
can
Okay.
use snack time on the Ashe when she lands. You never know. Again,
Yeah, I
doubt it's going to
understand.
happen, but it does have a way to counteract that. Willow's still open, pretty decent at not getting dove. Got to say, though, I do have a weak spot for sure against triple tank on this map. I think it's pretty powerful. I remember it used to be a pocket strat that my team had, well, that Bork had that we pulled out here a couple times. Very, very impactful. Not a really long map. It's open, but it's not really long, so your tanks can cross that space and really get in to pressure as quickly. And having that much health on these individual targets means that the Kinessa, she doesn't have the same damage output that Strix has. Hers is more bursty, so being able to get through and then maybe you get healed later when you get in.
Right.
One life exchange. So tough for the Kinessa to find those kills.
Here we go, guys. I mean, game 4 already. NIP, the triple front line, they're bringing it out again. Casters, what do you guys think about this?
I think that this draft is filled with stuff we have not seen in a long time, whether it's Atlas, Makoa, or a Torvald ban. This is a new one, and NIP grabbing triple front line. An interesting look for Frog Isle, but certainly something that can work.
Here's the thing that stands out the most to me. First ban in a lot of these sets is sitting down at the 10th pick.
Same bird.
Willow is just hanging around there. Finally going to be coming through here on Frog Isle, which admittedly maybe isn't her strongest map,
Yeah.
but it's still Willow. She's still really good. We're just going to have to see how she fares against what admittedly is her matchup as well. Triple tank on the
Yeah.
other side.
It's what you dream of. I mean, this is maybe something NIP go into Frog Isle and say, all right, we're doing triple front line, and that's how we're drafting, instead of more of a adapt as you go. Because I agree, surprising to see Willow 10th pick, but that's what we got. It's random noob on that one. Envy looking to tie up this set. NIP looking to make it 3. As we dive on down, the Makoa Atlas kind of tango up front is going to be fun to watch throughout this game. Both champions very potent in their own right. First hook. Actually, I think he was aiming for Diggy Dog. Not who he caught. Rock Monkey. First blood onto Bonker from the back line. Staying alive up onto that high ground. A double kill as well. Plenty of low health targets for that Kinessa to make good on. And Random Noob finally gets another name in the kill column. 2 for Noob.
Yeah.
2 for Rock. And Envy, they're off to the races.
This one kind of feels, and there's a lot of potency, I think, for NIP, but it feels like it went off the rails in the draft for them.
Yeah.
I mean, you ban the Strix, Envy go, well, hey, we've got this guy named Rock Monkey, and man, just wait till you see what he can do on a Kinessa. I mean, this guy, he rewrites everything you would think about her. You get Willow, who, again, has been such a top priority for a lot of these teams.
Yeah.
You get Makoa for Rubu. Like, you get so many things that are like a do not list for Envy here, and well, they're taking advantage of it. It all does depend, I think, on Diggy on this Atlas.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe a little bit of Bonker on that Ashe, but they need to change up the flow of the game for themselves now.
I mean, aside from Alex trying to find some good air shots, it's really only Atlas and maybe Barrick that have a good, consistent way of plugging some damage onto Random Noob, and hasn't been consistent enough. 90% for Team Envy, contested, not for long. As they step back onto the point. Gonna use the Dread Serpent just to seal it up, Mr. Hayes. Overtime expiring, nobody left in range. No gap closers either, unless you want to blink in, but that's not gonna happen. First point over to Envy.
I mean, just solid control, very, very good consistency coming from them. Even the little bit of reprieve that NIP were able to find just wasn't enough, right? And a lot of it, I think, comes down to this temporal divide. I mean, when you look at this talent for Atlas, It's great. You split the map in half. You just stop bullets, essentially. It's a huge shield as far as you want to think about it that comes through. Can't be destroyed, though. It's just going to come up and slow those bullets for its duration. Except it's 22 seconds on a cooldown. I mean, there's so many abilities that are going to come up 2-3 times even before that one finishes its one cooldown cycle. And it feels like it's not going to be as worthwhile. Diggy also hasn't been connecting, I think, quite as many shots as they expect out of the Atlas. So as they get warmed up on these champions, maybe it comes through, but that's assuming you have time to warm up.
This is a great fight for Envy. Stacked up frontliners, random noob flying free. Fortunately, Bird finally gets the Willow. But it's only Eevee for Alex left alive into the ice block just to mitigate some damage. Payload continues to roll forward. And talk about a snowbally map. Frog Isle, if you start to get a lead and you start to get something rolling, it is harder than most to come back on a map like this without a complete kind of strategy swap.
5-0-6 right now. Finally, someone's able to get back there and deal with that sniper. But they're going to have to be able to do a little bit more. 2-0-12 here for Mr. Hayes. And he is right in the window, right behind everything. Just out of line of sight here as he heals up these tanks.
What a perfect spot. I mean, he's just looking left and right. Yeah, you get some heals, you get some heals. All right, I'll look over here, you get some heals. He's perfectly spreading the healing out to the rest of his team. And he's 2-0-12. The uptime's been there as long as his team's been fighting. And Toki as well, 1-0-11. Fun storyline to watch. Okay, as I say it, Bitter gets the first blood onto the Envy frontliner. It's a good Faith Light from Random Noob. No damage really turned around. NIP opting to try to fight elsewhere, but that leaves Random Noob into the backline. Gets the kill onto Bird. Payload moving itself forward. Alex does have the blink to get in range. An important 1v1 here. If Random Noob is able to win this gets much more difficult into the ice block. Bittner is back, though, and gets the kill. Those were close moments for NIP, and they survive, at least for a minute longer.
That defense, it's not solid. I don't know if I want to describe it that way, but I feel like it is in that perfect area where you can start looking at maybe a turning point for an IP, being able to find that. A lot of it is going to be how you deal with this guy. They were able to get to him finally before the end of that round, but this is a point fight gone wrong for an IP. No sign of anyone, no struggle for Rock Monkey. He's just chilling in his scope the entire time, doesn't take a single bullet of damage during that fight. 2 deaths to his name now, but you're going to have to apply that pressure, not just during a defense. You need to apply it almost immediately. And that comes down to the ramp fight, which is going to be Bonker, Diggy, and Alex. They're going to have to get pretty aggressive, I think, to make that work as efficiently as it should.
Well, right. I mean, it's either Alex blinks and soars in, or the triple front line charges this left-hand staircase here to get Rock Monkey uncomfortable. Neither of which has happened yet. Bonker throws down a semi-aggressive assert dominance. Times out, though. Doesn't get any kills for it. Just forces Toki to maybe consider where he wants to walk. 72% though for NIP. The aggression is on now. Rubu pops the Ancient Rage and pops some shots into the backside of Alex. Or Atlas, excuse me, as he shell spins out. Atlas maybe in just a moment. And Exiles to counter out the touches. Double kill from Rock Monkey keeps Envy in this fight.
I mean, that has absolutely reopened this door. 99-21. And with that giant rift in front of them, it's going to be hard to get any bullets through, find that damage. Good shot onto Bird, but they need something more. Someone has to touch, and they just don't have the tanky health bars.
Finally, triple frontline wins themselves a mid-fight. You know, outside of a great double kill, Rock Monkey didn't have the full-blown consistent damage that time as he was able to on the first mid-fight. How aggressive Diggy Dog is playing. I think he had a second chance, didn't quite get the chance to use it. As Bonker does turn and get the kill onto Hayes, so actually might be important here as Rubu's trying to tank up some of the damage, but healing's not immediately ready. 2 minutes left. Envy's first look on defense here. And IP with a slow start of really started to kick it into gear. That defense really changed their look around.
I like to think of triple tank lineups, especially one I think as potent as what NIP have. Kind of like a boulder starting to roll down a hill, right?
Nice shot.
It's very slow to get going at first. You could easily stop it if you can catch it early on. But as time goes on, it starts to pick up momentum. The more it's moving, the harder it is to then stop it. And so you have to, if it's, you know, the goal is maybe to get it down the hill, I guess here, or you have two forces kind of working against each other. Envy are kind of the things that have to slow it down and try and stop it in the middle of that mountain. And it's a very difficult task, but this is a perfect example, right? A little stopper that takes the momentum shift away from NIP, just slows them down a little bit. Doesn't stop them fully. You don't know whether or not they're going to be able to get back to the payload and kind of overwhelm you again or not.
Right.
But you just, okay, well, we slowed it down. Like, it's not going to crush us completely. The problem is finding that so consistently throughout the rest of the game, I think is going to be very difficult for Envy to do. They have Rock Monkey. When he goes big, it's knocking it out of the park, but a lot of this, admittedly, since that first defense, hasn't quite hit the same way other than him.
Well, in theory, this is a great spot for a Kinessa to be in, so Rock Monkey should feel comfortable. Good hook onto Bonker. Doesn't use the assert dominance. Into the shoulder bash, not enough to save his life. Good couple of kills here now for Team Envy, starting to melt through the gigantic health bars of NIP. 18 seconds left. Better hook from Rubu to finish off the fight. At 10 seconds left. I don't see a world where NIP get themselves a touch unless somehow Alex is able to soar and blink his way into the back line. But a great defense there from Envy to tie up this game.
They're just relaxing, maxing, acting all cool as they wait for that defense to come through.
That's pretty good. Shooting some b-ball outside of the school.
Yeah. A couple of guys on Envy came up and they were just up to no good. Started making trouble in NIP's neighborhood.
And that Frog Isle for the time being.
Yeah. It's a rough day, I think, for NIP. Again, losing momentum for Triple Tank is just not good. It almost immediately knocks you down.
Point spawning in 15.
Yeah, it's
But
like they got one little fight there towards the end.
Yeah.
And my
But
mom,
even then, it was kind of like
Right.
maybe we can fight back. Granted,
Right.
for Frog Isle, it's one of the best maps because, like, 30 to 40 seconds, you're converting this payload. You just have to find that last little bit.
Yeah. I was going to say, then my mom got scared, but
Oh, then you pulled yourself away.
yeah. I thought about it. Couldn't commit. Bonker looking to commit. Assert dominance, shoulder bash to close the gap. Yes, Mr. Hayes and Rock Monkey. I mean, these are very winnable 1v1s if he wants to use some of his cooldowns. Rock Monkey not allowed to participate. He's going to rely on the rest of his team, the other 4 members of Team Envy up in the front line to win. And Pokey grabs the first blood. Ice Storm from Alex. Zones out a little bit. Caught off in the corner. Bittner as well. Very low health. Rubu into the Ancient Rage immediately gets melted down. So still on cooldown. He will have the Ancient Rage one more time. A good assert dominance from Bonker puts him back in contest range. A slither from Mr. Hayes might be enough to save his life. It is. Bonker drops the shield, but 75% now for NIP, and they grab a kill onto Random Noob.
Depending on the shots right here, Dicky Dog pulling back out of that fight. Might have been able to kind of stay there and get aggressive. We pulled out the Dread Serpent.
Wow.
There's no Headhunter, and helps get the kill on Tulky. This is looking like a good lockdown.
And Rubu did still have that Ancient Rage. He was killed before it really came out there. Kill onto Bird. Important to look at. Rubu slowly whittling down that health bar. Just need a couple more shots, but while their eyes are turned on the Makoa, the rest of Envy now starting to aggress. Fate from Random Noob used to put him in good range to do some damage. Rock Monkey as well, and Tulky capitalizing. No fast cap for Team Envy. Only the Exiles left. One more chance to maybe fight back into it. He's going to use the Exiles right now. Looking for some targets. Connected. Now onto Rock Monkey twice. Looks like he only got 2 off. He's back up to 28%, 93% under the point, 96, 99 now. Nobody in range. Good hook just to seal it. Team Envy grab one more point and are one step closer to tying up this set.
Almost immediately, though. Health bar is too low to stay in the fight fully. Tulky in a great position, going to be able to get his ult off. Dome Shield comes down. I'm sure they were hoping to use that one during the point fight. But again, they were a couple steps too late. And so right now, all it's going to do is buy a little bit of time that Envy isn't progressing.
It's all about the delay. That's what you're looking for here if you're NIP. In theory, with the triple frontline comp and big temporal divides, it should be somewhat easy to hold your ground. But, you know, Rock Monkey, as uninvolved as he was in that fight at the beginning, I mean, great zone from Bonker, but wasn't enough. The rest of Envy were winning the fight, on the front line.
That was a really, really good setback for what it was worth. At the end of the day, like it looked really cool. Long range, kind of peeking through the rock, and able to kind of, well, then kill up Rock Monkey because of it. This is actually a dangerous, I want to say dangerous position, like a good zone from an IP, but it just feels like things can go very wrong very quickly from this kind of positioning. Granted, that's the nature of Frog Isle. That's pretty much the way the map always plays out. I mean,
They are on
left.
defense, by the way.
Yeah, oh yeah, in case you were wondering. This amount of aggression, they are holding the payload. It is not moved. It is still sitting in the center of the objective over there. For a second there, it looked like Envy were going to be able to get through a touch. Now they will. And
All right.
if this was Splitstone Quarry, if this is Timber Mill, I'm telling you, man, there is no chance they convert this one in overtime. Frog Isle, they could still have 15 seconds left by the time this thing hits.
Right, look how much ground they've made up. That's kind of the give and take of this map. You lose one complete sweep of a fight, NIP, and now you're already back in your base trying to fight out. It's a risk-reward scenario. If nothing else, they've delayed Envy from being able to move too far forward in the early moments of this push. Rock Monkey teleports out, keeping his eyes on Alex, who's now back with the rest of his team. Willow forced to flutter away is Random Noob. 10 seconds left. All disengages from Team Envy right now, not looking super confident about retaking. And a kill onto Willow might just seal this one up, and Tulky going down definitely does. And one more 0.7 fight. This is a big one.
So much. Not only kind of hinging on this, I feel like if Envy lose this one, it starts to maybe surmount them overall. Like this, the amount of pressure here becomes too much, I think, to perform. Also, when, in my eyes, they admittedly kind of win the draft, you have Rock Monkey going 15, 4, and 12. He's having a very solid game.
Yeah.
It just comes down to how difficult it is to displace 3 tanks with a really good healer behind them at the end of the day. With only 30% on the Illusory Rift, I think that kind of levels the playing field a lot for Envy, and maybe even shifts it in their favor, since NIP can't really dare to be as aggressive as they have been without that healing.
Of course, Envy won't know exactly where that Illusory Rift is. You know, if nothing else, if NIP are able to stall out the early rounds of this fight and even get onto the point as they are right now, 27% for them. Once that Illusory Rift is up, all things are even. First rounds of ultimates, Envy, look at the health bars, top right. Half health for effectively everyone. Are you able to follow up on this damage? Bonker says yes, drops down the Assert Dominance, gets the kill onto Mr. Hayes, and he's 2v1 zoning out a Kanessa and a Maldamba from participating for Team Envy here. Rubu gets a kill onto Diggy Dog, maybe finds a second onto Bittner. What a fight back. Bonker didn't end up cleaning up the kill onto Rock Monkey, so that's a big trade. 27% for Team Envy now on the point. As NIP now have to fight back. Only Exile, but that Illusory Rift now almost back off cooldown.
I think most important was Rubu not peeling off from the fight to go help.
Yeah.
He wasn't needed. They were able to get rid of Bonker on their own, and it kept this Makoa in the fight, being able to come through with an Ancient Rage to be able to open the door. That's 2 Exiles missing. Third one, I think, connects there at the very end. And that allows him to get aggressive. Bonker's back up there.
Yeah, they are getting absolutely poked out. Good setback onto Rubu. Diggy Dog finds himself the kill. Rock Monkey and Rubu are down. Random Noob follows, and so does Mr. Hayes. It's all down to Tulky, and it's one Inara against the world, and that's not a bet I'm willing to take. Well-calculated fight from NIP, grabs them win. Number 3 on Frog Isle.
I mean, they're watching it down. This giant wall, I think, showcasing just about the kind of split you're looking for on Frog Isle as well. Some dancing ying, some smiles, at least for Diggy Dog coming through as the team kind of lets out that breath of air. Again, it's one of those things, triple tank. I think you, at the very beginning, you either 4-0 or you 4-3, right? And it loves contested point fights because it's just like, cool, you can kill that tank, maybe you can kill that tank, but you can't kill a third tank. And that's really where it comes down to, is just like, we have collectively 13 to 15,000 health that you have to burn through.
That's too much.
And that's ignoring Illusory Rift, the Ying, and the Eevee all together. So you have to focus so much onto just them to burn them away.
And it was a great composition for Team Envy, but I love the way Bonker played. Subtle moments, just I'm going to zone out Rock Monkey and Mr. Hayes on my own. And then it's a 3v4 on the front line for Envy. NIP, they take Frog Isle in a 7-point slugfest, effectively, back and forth. Find out if they can close out the set right after this.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back, guys, to the PPL NIP, taking it now 3-1 to Envy. This could be the last game for NIP, and they're looking really, really good. I mean, they've had a rough split so far, Kresnik, but now more than ever, I think today they're looking pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, all they had to do was beat Renegades yesterday, and apparently that was the
awakening.
That was the boost.
Renegades.
That was the boost they needed. But great aggression from NIP across the board. I think Envy were actually able to do a pretty good job stalling things out, letting Rock Monkey work. Not as easy for them, I think, to pressure onto him. And NIP, a little inconsistent when your only damage dealer is going to be an Eevee, but they made it work. Sounded inconsistent, but when you have a player like Diggy on that Atlas, when you have Tenor on that Barrack, Bonker making so much room, doesn't really feel inconsistent when you're playing against it.
Right, exactly. 132,000 damage from the Barrack, from Bidner. Not even a Genos. So you'd like to praise Genos a lot and Barrack for the Luminary buff, but this is the kind of damage that Barrack can do. It's why he's such a good point tank. It's why he has so much versatility. But the slash lines, however, Rock did extremely well, 11-5. Same for Random, 15 and 11, but at the same time, NIP are the ones with the win. And Bonker, even though he had a rough game, 8, 15, and 15. That's just the Ash experience, baby. I mean, he did really well with just applying the pressure on the sides.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk Bonker in this, because even though his stat line was definitely the worst across the board for his team, it's the space that he made, this specifically, because he started this push, he actually started with another kill. But then all this, he brings both tanks back, sends them both back into his own team, and still gets the kill on Mr. Hayes before going down. So much pressure from this Ash that it's hard to answer. And it's tough for Ash to really get those kills, but the constant damage, the constant cauterize, the AoE, the ability to get away because of battering ram. Ash brings so much to the table for a team that even with that stat line, it really is just the pressure that Bonker put on that allowed that triple tank to walk all over them. It's that classic, my off-tank's hands look like this, so my DPSs can look like that. That's basically what Bonker did, 8 and 15, but I think he did a ton that game.
Right, I mean, creating that pressure, creating that space with Ash, I mean, you see it quite often throughout the PPL, but Bonker right there, more than anybody, was definitely showing why they can play such a pivotal off-tank. It's why you give him, it's why, not this go-around, but if you give him the Atlas, you give him the McCall, it's why he can do so well. And even on a character like Ash, you can create so many different opportunities you may not have expected coming from a character like that.
Flexibility from Bonker, too. I mean, he's the point tank.
Right.
He's supposed to be NIP's point tank, but still pulling out that Ash, letting him make all that room, and normally he'd be the one kind of contesting, and Tenor flexing from DPS to the one getting that objective capture. So very flexible team across the board for NIP, always been one of their greatest strengths, and triple tank on Frog Isle I think really does show that super aggressive composition, and it was really their answer to giving Envy Kinessa.
Right, exactly. I mean, and also showing the adaptability too. A lot of time in the beginning, we would see the Kinessa versus the Strix. We would see the sniper battle, but of course, they had the Atlas, so they didn't feel as pressured by it, especially as they took the Divider talent, which just made it absolutely huge.
Yes.
So they were able to just cover a lot of space like Knessa will be looking at. And also able to stop the Willow, too. I mean, at the same time, NIP, I mean, they're looking pretty good overall. I mean, I said it before, but now, once again, more than ever, this is the type of NIP we're used to seeing.
Yeah, they're definitely the dominant NIP. Envy, though, I mean, Envy usually put up a pretty solid fight against them, so I wouldn't put it past them to be able to come back. All these games are close. They just got to figure out that one last thing, whatever it is.
Well, I mean, in this case, we're going to see if this map that's about to be picked will be the last thing of this set. It's going to be Timber Mill. Interesting. Okay. A map that's typically banned, now seeing the sunlight finally coming out of its cave. In this case,
And it's been doing just fine.
Oh, yeah, it's coming out of it. It's true. Hey, man. That's what I like to hear. The references all around. Envy banning out with that Willow Willow first, of course. That's typically what you'll expect to see. Knessa on NIP's side, Strix that get rid of both snipers, don't want to give that any room to Rock Monkey, because once again, Rock Monkey did extremely well because he was 17 and I think he was like 17 and 5. Yeah. So I completely understand getting rid of both of those snipers right there. Atlas, Barrett, Khan though, looking pretty good so far for NIP, I think.
And it's been, I mean, snipers completely changed the pace of the map, so it makes sense to want to get rid of them, change up the game style, pick 2 tanks early to play off of that style that is now gone, right? You can play those tank slow compositions because the backlines aren't going to be as consistent as the sniper is able to contest across that distance. And Atlas getting first picked by Envy now. Rubu going to have a pretty solid performance, I think, on that off tank to make that worth it. But with Cassie to back him up, that's one of the stronger backlines, one of the better counters to Atlas, potentially off the board.
Okay, so they're going to opt to go for both DPS locks here. Cassie, Eevee, in this case. Cassie being strong for all the reasons of what you just explained, as well as being able to burst down those shields on both Barrack and Kana. Eevee, of course, being able to get around those shields, having that mobility, especially on a map like Timber Mill, since it's so wide. She's got a lot of places to hide and a lot of places to apply pressure from. So I can completely understand that as well. NIP, though, they've locked in both their frontliners. They can be pretty flexible with their next picks. They've got an option to be able to get the healer or both DPSs, regardless. Once again, they have that option. And I wonder if they're going to try and go back to Furia. They're now 3-1. Like, what do you think about that, Chris? Like, do you think they're going to try and go back to it?
I think it would be fantastic here.
Right.
Just because of the range on Cherish, able to keep the whole team alive. As long as they're close enough to have everyone hit Inflame, because Inflame does have a range limit.
It does.
Hard to use from like all the way back in your choke. You can't really catch somebody that's on the far roof if you're pushing. You know, let's say one of your tanks manages to make it onto their sniper. Your Fury is back behind the cart because it's unsafe, because there's a Victor or whatever in the way. Range is just a little out, so they have to be a little closer, but they will be able to make it work. I gotta say, though, I'm just happy that Nip locked in tanks. Just like a tank.
Yeah.
Remember the last time they played against Envy on this map, they didn't have that luxury. They chose to go quad DPS, and it didn't work out, so they're clearly not really playing around anymore. They have something to prove again, and seems like a draft to do it. Ying, great healer on this map, good distance on her heals with the life exchange, and Victor, very solid backline. As long as he can keep that high ground, there's a lot of controls.
Yeah, I'm interested here to see what's going on, especially with Envy's second to last pick. They've got Anar, they've got Atlas, Cassie, Eevee. Of course, they have to be looking at their healer at this point. NIP already locked it in, so they have a pretty big compendium of characters they can actually choose from. Maldamba, though, is what I'm thinking, purely based off of the Anar. Nobody can heal Anar like he can in this case. It's a really good pocket. And Furia, okay. The aggression to be able to just for it to be there. But on NIP's side, who do you think they're going to try and draft for their last flank here? They've got rid of they have the Eevee, they have the Cassie. Can you see a potential Maeve here?
Possibly just for the verticality. I know production was in my ear mentioning Grover, but
yeah, I heard that too.
I'm not sure about what you're trying to ignore that. Oh well, I'll have something to say to you when we go back there. But
well, I can say it right now.
I just don't think Grover would be coming in with the Victor. I just don't know about Alex on Victor coming up too much. It's still possible for sure. Having crippling throw is pretty powerful into Eevee and Cassie, able to do a lot there. So maybe they'll do that, flex Alex to that Grover so they can keep Tenor on the Victor. Also, that extra healing would be big, but they already have Ying. Ying is just raw healing. I don't think you really need to supplement it all. So I would expect a Maeve, maybe even a Buck, anything like that from NIP, just to be able to stay mobile and have more flexibility. If you have an immobile composition, the things you can do, it's definitely not a second Barrack.
Shadow Clone?
For sure it is not two
Shadow Clone
Barracks.
Jutsu? Okay.
I mean, listen, if I could pick two Barracks, I would, but Buck is going to be the pick instead to have that mobility, be able to slow down the flankers, kind of slow down the Buck 93% pick rate says
Let's
production.
go, baby.
Man,
But-
that's the world I want to live in, but unfortunately not the world we do live in. Buck's going to be a counterflank. It's going to be jumping around. Going to be pretty strong. I think after how we saw it before from NIP.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, they brought it out on the fish market before, and they were sort of using it to actually try and counter out that IO before, just from the sustainability that Buck could have. But they bring him out again. I like the pick. I mean, whose draft do you like better though in this case? Who do you think got it?
I mean,
paper?
NIP just keeps winning with Barrack, man. It's
That's
so hard
true.
for me to side against Barrack
That's
Khan.
true.
Very strong composition. Victor's going to be good too. I think it's a lot of pressure on how much Envy and Random Noob specifically can get out of the Inflames.
That's true, yeah. I mean, I agree with that. Here we go, guys. NIP, this could be the very last game that they have. We'll have to see if Game 5 is the ender.
It could be, and if you're a betting man, it might be time to place your money on NIP to seal up this set. Barrack has not let them down very often, not only in this set, but throughout their time here. PPL Phase 2, a team that has kind of had trouble finding exactly where they're at. At least in Split 2. Split 1 was a breeze for them. Starting to maybe get their feet under them. This would be a great victory for NIP to be able to grab themselves and kind of re-cement themselves in that conversation.
And so
Definitely big on their list to not only find this win, but to do so convincingly would be impressive from them overall. But I think right now the question is actually going to be, again, Buck versus Eevee in this case, but the Atlas in my mind, and how much he can bring to this map specifically. It's not something you get to see often, so it's a very limited resource pool to pull from. But, I mean, it's a lot of damage, and, well, with Deja Vu, it's a lot of control.
Yeah, Ruby tells Alex to get back here, and he's actually going to re-engage. Restore not enough for the Buck this time around, not something you often say this early in the game. Rock Monkey hits the final shot, 30% and climbing for Team Envy. Rubu now wraps around the back. Only one of those premier tanks were on the table, and it was Atlas, just because of the way the picks and bans went. So hopefully Rubu able to make enough of a difference. Not able to stay alive there is Bittner on the Victor. A new look for him. Helps Alex grab the kill. Retake from NIP, capturing their way to point number 1.
And the biggest question, again, that has yet to be answered because he got focused down so much, is going to be Atlas versus Buck, I guess, as it shakes out. It's a lot of control, and actually, when you think about it, one of the best ways to deal with Buck with that amount of healing is to just take him back to before the healing. That's one thing Atlas is going to be capable of doing. I believe he'll still maintain damage reduction from the heal as he does get sent back, but it's just that moment of, hey, you are at 1,300, now you're at full, now you're at 1,300 again. Have fun with that. I'm going to shoot you for 9.
And a great team fight starting to cascade here. Good overpower sets up the rest of it for NIP. They're just running down members of Envy. Rubu trying to throw himself onto the pile just to extend it. Wouldn't have mattered anyway. NIP, they strike first. 5 members of the red team all streaking out here and moving into the Envy base. Payload starts to move quickly.
I love where Diggy Dog goes to get aggressive. If he takes the right amount of pathing, they'll be able to get back up there, no problem. But Bittner and Alex have moved up. They're both going to drop down as Inflame gets popped to kind of thwart them a little bit. And that was probably the best case scenario for a grenade to not go where he wanted it to.
Dropped right down onto Toki. Rubu with some desperation exiles just to keep him alive. Buck restore for Alex. Jumps out. Bird forced back as well. Random Noob finishes off that kill as Rubu very low health. Kind of a split fight here from NIP. Payload moving forward this entire time. Bonker finds a kill as well. He's gonna go into contest range as Random Noob looks for a different target. Dropping the dome shield is Bonker. Very aggressive play. You have Bittner in the back line trying to cause some chaos in the longevity that Bonker has had. Now the reinforcements are here. It's a great start from NIP.
And that's going to be a kill onto Tolki. Now they have to deal with one Rubu. And that honestly might be a little easier. With Alex going down there, it's definitely going to slow the pace down. They're still contesting it. Bonker has not relented. He is just standing on this, and it is going to take death, maybe something even beyond that, to actually get him away from this thing. I've never seen someone this
What a flank!
just so oriented on the objective
Oh, nice.
as it comes through. But that's going to be 2 clean kills, and they finally get rid of Bonker. So that should at least give them some breathing room. 45 seconds left with where that payload is, though. It's still in the realm of possibility.
That was an important series of cooldowns there for Mr. Hayes to grab the stun and the kill onto Diggy Dog. A flanking Khan is no good, especially when your team has no healing. So important timing there from Envy. 25 seconds left, 2 for 2 now on the overpowers. Is Diggy Dog. Alex gets the kill. Diggy Dog hits the ultimate. 15 seconds left. In Flame from Team Envy to try to defend here as Alex down below. Underneath, a few members who are up high. Good grenade. Forces Rock Monkey back into the dodge roll. Random Noob hanging up high as well. Cassie drops. You have a barrage, maybe just to seal this one up. Random Noob, no health to get aggressive here. Good healing coming out. Bittner up through the teleporter, finds the final shot. There's a perfect use of the barrage, goes right through that wall. The stasis field does not matter when you have a Victor on your team. And they're gladly going to change out ultimates for their second point.
If you're ever wondering why we always talk about Bittner and like, what is it that makes him so great, you know? That entire sequence is a prime example of why this guy is just our example of how to be so good at the game right now. I mean, there were so many moments that read, he gets the kill, flicks around to shoot Eevee, sees her teleport back, throws a grenade up there, turns, shoots a Nara till the wall is up. Wall comes up, turns to the teleporter, pops Eevee out of the ice block. Like, just that sequence of reads and that amount of aggression, but doing it in such a way that he never put himself in danger is remarkable for a DPS. Played very well by Bittner there. Now with the cauterized 3 there, 7-2 for him and for Alex. And the 2-0 lead for an IP. They are looking in form today.
Well, there was no wasted moment. Everything Bittner was doing in that little end of round play was helping his team do something. He was not wasting any time. Double exile onto Alex. Not gonna hold him down for all that long. Dome shield as well from Bonker. Forces back Rubu. Second chance, but back into the dome shield. Melted down by Bittner one final time. Bird first to fly down beneath the ceiling there. And good body blocks keep Toki from being able to capitalize on the kill onto Bonker. Random Noob into the ice block. A couple more shots from the Buck will kill off the Eevee. NIP, another great mid-fight from them. And they're just trying to clean up this one kill, but they're at 51% and climbing now on the point.
That was a perfect moment between Bittner and Alex, where Bittner, aggressive, kind of pulls this Eevee towards him. And then when she finally is like getting away because he does too much damage, Buck is just waiting there like a bouncer, ready to go. And Barrage is going to be coming down, causing a lot of distress for Tolkien.
Yeah, Rock Monkey has had a very hard time getting involved in these fights. Rubu pulls one back. Tolkien evaporated under the duress of Bittner. 14 streak now for the Victor. A flick shot from the hip onto Random Noob. Grabs point number 3 for NIP, and they are barreling their way towards a 4-0 win and a 4-1 win in the set.
I mean, you were talking about it before. When it comes down to it, this Buck being as aggressive as it is right now, he's tanky enough to zone them all out just on his own. I mean, when it comes to the damage reduction, when it comes to his health bar, it's going to be doing a lot. 10, 2, and 9 right now for him. It is insane.
There's 2 minutes left. Diggy Dog has been flawless on the overpowers. The targets couldn't be better chosen. One more flank around the backside, maybe to end this game. Bird gets the kill onto Mr. Hayes. Rubu killed off one more time. Bittner finds himself a double kill. Now charging up the side through the teleporter he goes. Height advantage, all for Envy in one last zone wins this set.
One more shot for Envy to kind of keep this one going for them. And it's going to require a lot, and that is not what you want to see already. Random Noob is way too low.
Random Noob cannot re-engage. Toki catching a few shots. Barrage is ready to go if Bittner sees the opportunity. Now is the time. First kill onto Random Noob. Grenade goes out, catches Toki for the double. Looking for 3 onto Hayes. Almost 4. Not gonna matter though because NIP, they grab win number 4 and take this set.
That game was a masterclass on Victor, and if you need to ever learn anything about that champion, just watch that game from Bittner. That was remarkable. Good positioning, good shots, good awareness. NIP, again, we're zoned in on a different level, and they have answered the question. Envy has to lose a Thursday set in order to topple them on a Friday.
Like I said, that's not good moving into that HRX week. If Envy retain themselves in the top 4, they're only going to have to play on that Saturday. Won't have a game of warm-up the day prior. Nonetheless, though, 3 weeks left. NIP grab it 4-1, and big win for them. Get some momentum in their sales. I jokingly granted Bonker yesterday. We said, well, where do you stand? And he, I think jokingly, but maybe confidence a little shaken, was like, yeah, we're probably 7th. So a good win here to maybe reinstill some confidence.
And honestly, this is the exact moment you want them to have that turnaround, right? Because it's like, it's not so close to the end of the phase that you're like, was it a fluke and other people stopped caring? But it's not so far away from the end of the phase that it's like, you peak too soon and now you're not going to be able to kind of carry this momentum into either qualifiers, doubtful for NIP to end up there, so into HRX, into PWC. Like, where they're going for the World Championship is looking pretty good.
Well, they're thankful their split one was as great as it was. Grab another win here today. That's our only set, which means we're going to send it back to the desk to wrap things up.
Thank you guys so much down there from the Casters booth. 4-1. Very, very quick one already for NIP. And, of course, talk about it a little bit. We'll get more into the analysis once we see the postgame. But Tenor on well as that victor. Of course, we'll be able to discuss that a little bit more. But NIP did extremely good throughout the entire set. And I'm glad that Dave and Gore were able to mention that the fact they felt like they were 7th. Now, looking better than that for sure. They look better as the days go on. 84,000, though, for Tenor. And he's sitting pretty at the top of the damage charts.
Alex also out-damaging the Cassie on the other team, so the Buck clearly coming in clutch there. Crazy how NIP wins on Timbermill when they have less than 4 DPSs.
Yeah.
You know, it's really great to see them pull out a more standard draft. And that Victor counter against the Atlas, I mean, I've mentioned it a couple times before, but really I think solid performance against that power tank. It really is, I think, to me, the biggest counter, being able to barrage through the shield. We even saw that in the final push, those shells raining down on everybody when they thought they were safe behind that stasis field. 17-2, an absolute clinical performance from Bittner.
Exactly. I mean, once again, 10-2. Shout-outs to Alex and shout-outs to the rest of NIP. They did it super, super well. All KDA's looking really good, but you already said his name. Bittner, Tenor in this case. And, oh, man, was he tearing things up on this Victor, dude. He's playing Modern Warfare, and the game's not even out yet.
Yeah, unfortunately for Envy, they said his name 3 times in the mirror and just could not deal with the pressure he was putting on. 17-2 again. Such a strong backlines when snipers aren't up on this map are very tough to deal with. Anytime he's able to just free fire from the high ground, it's going to be massive. They had too much pressure on the Cassie for Rock to really contest him back and forth, and this is what I mentioned in that final fight. Just barrage on everybody stuck in the corner. No way out here at the very end. Great damage into the back. Even with that attempted exile. Just not enough. I mean, Tenor almost got a quad here. I will say comfortably Bonker stole that from him.
I think that's a pretty accurate assessment right
okay.
there. No. I was
just
giving a thumbs up. That was me approving what it was that you were saying. But
It's
in that
true.
case, you are entirely right. I mean, technically he did steal the quadra at the same time, though. Victor was a very, very good pick into the Atlas. I mean, we had talked about it a little bit before off camera, and of course, it was a really, really good look for NIP in this case and for Tenor as well. But, however, we have an interview that we're going to cut to right now for both Diggy Dog and Bird.
You're absolutely right, Fawn. We do have Diggy Dog and Bird sitting by with us. 4-1 win for you guys. You go 2-2 on the week. So first of all, congratulations. Bird, I want to kind of start with you. IO has been kind of starting to come into the meta a little bit here and there. You guys haven't been so quick to jump on the IO train. Where do you think she's at? Do you feel comfortable playing against her? You obviously felt okay about it today on Fish Market.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're okay playing with and against her. I think the one weakness Envy had today with it is that everyone's been playing IO on Fish Market. Everyone knows IO on Fish Market. For whatever reason, it's become the thing. So it was not the hardest to predict, and we had a good plan going into it.
So I want to ask, and this one's probably just more wide, but what's up with Buck? I mean, he's been coming through and doing pretty well for you guys.
Buck is just Buck, you know. He does Buck things. He's tanky. He's a flank. He does a lot of damage at close range, but he lacks range. But we like that character. So they have no targets, really. Their target is like Bonker on point. That's why we like picking the Buck.
And, kind of on the back of that, the meta is, I would say, in a relatively healthy spot. A lot of teams trying a lot of different things. I know Split 1, that was very big for you guys, mixing things up here and there. Do you think you're starting to get back to that point a little bit in the meta where you're able to change things up and kind of take advantage of that?
Yeah, I think we're on an upwards trend in general. It's really easy to, when you're behind in the meta, it's easy to not get a chance to try things because you're always catching up. And once you start getting ahead again, then you can start experimenting, and you don't have to spend every single hour, every single scrim trying your best to just get wins. So I think now that we're on an upward trend, we can start experimenting again a lot.
And, I mean, speaking of experimentation, you guys have been kind of the team that did it most versatile. The desk had mentioned when you went to Timbermill, we've seen you play quad DPS there. This set we got to see you do triple tank. What inspired that on Frog Isle? Like, what was it that was coming down in the draft that made you think this is the moment to pull out 3 tanks again?
Well, it's mainly because the sniper situation. The map is really weird in a way where a lot of characters don't get a lot of value, and so like the snipers get a lot of value, some backlines get a lot of value, but flankers have a really hard time because there's like this middle ground where there's so many angles. So the triple tank's the only thing they can get to their side without dying, basically. So that's why we like picking it.
Bit of a joke question. Who's the best Barrack on your team? We know Bittner is like to play Barrack here and there.
Pretty sure I'm the best Barrack on
If
the
I
team.
don't say Bonka, he's going to kill me, so...
Bird says Bird, Diggy says Bonker. Either way, you guys get
Jokes,
the
it's me.
4-1 win today. You go 2-2 on the week. Congratulations to you guys. Send it back to the desk to wrap things up.
Thank you guys so much for sending it back to us through that interview. Of course, congratulations to NIP. Being able to take that 4-1 over Envy. Not an easy task, but I mean, they were just looking good today overall.
Yeah, it's great for them, I think, to be able to come back after a really rough slump. I mean, they said it themselves that they were in, but even with 2 wins in their belt this week, do either of them count if Bonker didn't play Lex?
I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. At the same time, though, day 1, I mean, which was yesterday in this case, Kanga Esports versus SSG, 1-4, Renegades 2-4, and then today, of course, what you guys were just being able to win. This, fortunately, we only have 1 game today for you guys. Sorry, there's only 4-1 right now for NIP versus Team Envy.
Yeah, and SSG really climbing back, I think, after the game last week against Kanga. Very close. They've clearly learned a lot. NIP learning a lot, too. And, I mean, we'll see how things show that up on the standings, too. Fun.
Of course, yeah. I mean, once again, 17-7 right now for NIP. Of course, they were able to get 2 wins back-to-back, day-to-day. Of course, 4-2, and then now today, 4-1. It's 43-32, though, in terms of game differential, map differential, I mean, for Nosvincere versus NIP. But they're still looking pretty good. Sitting second, I mean, what better could you ask except for first place?
Yeah, and I remember talking to them and them saying that they only needed 2 wins, I think, to confirm that they're going to be top 4. So this means for sure we will be seeing them in the quarterfinals, not having to play through the qualifiers. Still some other teams, I mean, fighting for that maybe, and VVP, some point of contention there with SSG. We'll have to see how the following matches really kind of pan out.
Yeah, that's for sure. Following matches for next week are as follows, of course. There's Renegades versus Pittsburgh Knights, SSG versus Team Envy, SSG versus Pittsburgh Knights on Friday, and then Team Envy versus the Renegades on that Friday. Oh, well, sorry. SSG versus PK on Thursday, Team Envy versus Renegades on Friday. And
these games are pretty important for standings, too. I mean, Envy and SSG playing games both days, especially one against each other. Depending on who takes that, really could shift that 4th and 5th place spots. I mean, heading into the qualifiers when the auto qualification is so still up in the air.
That's for sure. I mean, once again, though, I mean, we're still looking at plenty of more matches. I mean, we don't have very much time left in the PPL, but of course, we had a wonderful day today, had a great day yesterday. That's all we got for you today, folks. Only 1 game. Of course, I'm Fawn. This has been Kresnik. We'll see you guys later on next week.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Premier League.
We're here live from Atlanta. The players are here. The stage is set. Let's get down for
This is where we also talk about the new stuff that we've got coming out for you all.
HRX is literally my favorite time of year. It truly isn't close. This is what I live for.
It's that 2nd place. I can't wait to see what 1st place is.
It's HRX.